The daughter of my mom's best friend has been copying me since we were kids. I took piano lessons. So did she. I signed up for tutoring. She did the same. In the end, I became a top student at a prestigious university. While she amounted to nothing, my husband is her husband's boss. When she accompanied her husband to my child's first birthday party, she stabbed me to death with a knife. How come your life turned out so perfect? We went through all the same things. When I opened my eyes again, we had gone back to a time before we even started elementary school. This time, she was the one who rushed to sign up for piano lessons first. When she ran into me, she said smugly, "I'm the one who got the jump on you this time. It's time you gave my life back to me." But the reason I had everything was never just because I was a step ahead of her in time. The moment I laid eyes on Chen Yusin, I could tell something was off about her expression, but I thought to myself, with so many people around, what could she possibly do? So I didn't pay it much mind. I just never imagined she'd be that unhinged. Right there in the open, she pulled out a knife. Before anyone could react, she stabbed me in the neck. It wasn't until the blade hit me that I even realized she had somehow slipped behind me. "Mommy," I frantically grabbed the dagger as she tried to pull it from the side of my neck, terrified that Chen Yusin would turn the blade on my baby girl, who had just started to talk, cradled in my arms. The others reacted quickly, pulling Chen Yusin away. Someone took my daughter from my arms. I let out a sigh of relief, and then my consciousness finally faded into darkness. The last thing I heard was Jiang Zhengyi calling out my name. So, upon realizing I had been reborn, I also came to understand another truth. I really had died. I was killed by Chen Yusin at the peak of my happiness, when my career, life, and love were all perfect, and just as my daughter had begun to call me Mama. So, when Chen Yusin stood before me, gloating about how she would steal my life this time, my first instinct was to kill her. I've signed up for piano lessons this time. I registered first, and I met Zhang Yixia first. Let's see how that old hag can keep playing favorites with you now. In my past life, Zhang Yixia was my first piano teacher. She thought I had a natural talent, so she often praised me and gave me a little extra attention in private. Chen Yusin wasn't as naturally gifted at the piano as I was, so teacher Zhang treated her just like any other student. She never deliberately withheld knowledge or refused to teach her. Yet, Chen Yusin was convinced that teacher Zhang's favoritism was the reason she couldn't play as well as I did, and she badmouthed the teacher behind her back all the time. Later, when teacher Zhang had a run-in with some unreasonable parents, Chen Yusin even joined in the pile-on, spreading malicious rumors about her. This time, the championship at the piano competition will be mine for years to come. I'll become a better pianist than you ever were. Chen Yusin leaned in close to my ear and said smugly, "This time, I'm going to crush you under my heel." The moment the words left her mouth, I slapped her across the face. My mother has always been meek and taught me to be humble. In my past life, no matter how much she provoked me, I just ignored her. This was the first time I'd ever hit her. Chen Yusin was stunned by the blow. I still wasn't satisfied. I grabbed her by the hair and started hitting her. Chen Yusin was genuinely dazed. It took her a moment to snap out of it and try to fight back. But by then, my mom and her best friend, Lin Yu, had already rushed over, pulling us apart from either side. Song ran, "What kind of mother are you? Look what your child has done to my Xin Xin." My mom looked embarrassed and was just about to apologize. Seized by the moment, I burst into loud, wailing sobs, unleashing all the grief from my past life. I cried so hard that I even cut Lin Yu off mid-sentence. I bawled through my tears, "Mom, Chen Yusin said she's going to take my things and stomp on them. She even called me names." Lin Yu's face was a picture of shock, while Chen Yusin's eyes went wide. They clearly hadn't expected me to just come out and say it. Honestly, the bad blood between Chen Yusin and me really started with our mothers, mine and Lin Yu. My mom and Lin Yu met in high school. Lin Yu was actually a good student, but due to her family's financial situation, she couldn't go to college. From then on, she began to resent my mom, who, as an only child, never had to give up her college spot to a brother. My mom was spoiled rotten by my grandparents growing up, making her a bit naive and overly trusting. Frankly, a little gullible, even though Lin Yu repeatedly showed her jealousy and sometimes even hurt her. A few sweet words from Lin Yu were all it took for my mom to forgive her and even defend her. Despite her jealousy, being friends with my mom had its perks for Lin Yu. For one, It gave her access to a lot of college students. She even met her current husband through my mom. Secondly, whenever she was short on cash, she could easily wheedle some money out of my mom. After all, while my grandparents weren't wealthy, they only had one daughter and never stinted on giving her an allowance, and so, the two of them became best friends, even though she had gained a lot of advantages from my mother. Lin Yu still resented her out of jealousy. After they both got married and became housewives, my father, though not as well off as her husband, who was essentially a rich second generation, managed to grow his business significantly over the past couple of years through sheer diligence. Otherwise, how could we have ended up living in the same neighborhood? Lin Yu then shifted her focus to our children, constantly comparing me with Chen Yusin. In my past life, I was quite tolerant of Chen Yusin, largely because I felt sorry for her. That's why I often let things slide and didn't hold grudges against her. I let it go, but she just got more brazen. In the end, she even pulled a knife and attacked me right in front of my 1-year-old daughter, too. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and the angrier I got, the more I hated myself for not being able to do anything to Chen Yusin right then. I couldn't hold it in anymore and just started sobbing louder and louder. My mom couldn't calm me down, so in the end, she just had to pick me up and take me home. After getting home, I started to calm down a bit, and my sobs gradually subsided. My mom was a bit exasperated. You're the one who hit Xin, so why are you the one crying? Well, she's the one who said she wished you were dead. Chen Yusin really did say those things, but at the time, I just thought she was lashing out in anger. On top of that, I'd told my mom several times that I didn't like Lin Yu and Chen Yusin, but she never took it seriously and always told me to be tolerant and accommodating. So, I was feeling a bit resentful myself and only gave Chen Yusin a couple of warnings. Hearing this, my mom was taken aback. Did Xin really say that? Don't believe me, go ask her yourself. She even said she and her mother can't wait for you to die. After saying something like that, why shouldn't I hit her? My mother fell silent. To be honest, I was a bit upset with my mom too. Even in my past life, I had started distancing myself from Chen Yusin and Lin Yu since middle school. The only reason I could never fully shake off that mother-daughter pair was because my mom is too sentimental. What's more, it was my mom who later pulled the strings to get Chen Yusin's husband a job at Jiang Zhengyi's company. She did this even though she knew full well how much I detested Chen Yusin by then, banking on the fact that Jiang Zhengyi wouldn't refuse a request from his mother-in-law. She thought she and Lin Yu were friends of 30 or 40 years, but in reality, Lin Yu had seen her as a rival from the very beginning, the kind who spent a lifetime wanting to see her humiliated, down on her luck, and utterly crushed underfoot. Bitter and resentful, I muttered coldly, I don't even know why you hang out with her mom every day. She says you're the person her mom hates the most. The living room remained quiet until past 6 o'clock. When my dad came home from work, my dad came in as usual, carrying some snacks he'd picked up on the way home for us. Beaming, he opened his arms wide, asking for a hug. I burst into loud, wailing sobs. My dad was instantly flustered, scooping me into his arms and asking what was wrong. I told him the whole story about how Chen Yusin had insulted me and how I'd ended up hitting her. My heart ached for me, and he tried to soothe me while also reasoning with my mom. Ran, you should know this. If an adult hadn't put those words in her head, what 4 or 5-year-old would understand such things? My mom still wanted to salvage her friendship. Well, you never know, maybe Xin picked it up somewhere. After all, there's all sorts of nonsense on TV these days. It's no accident that my mom kept stumbling over herself in front of Lin Yu. I couldn't be bothered to reason with her. I'd done enough of that in my past life. From childhood on, since my mom has a soft personality, we hardly ever had any real conflict between us. The only source of tension was Lin Yu and her daughter, and I suspect it'll be the same this time around. But this time, I'm counting on this twisted, unbreakable bond. How else am I going to get my chance for revenge? Now that I've calmed down, I've figured it out. Simply killing Chen Yusin would be too crude. It would dirty my hands and wouldn't even begin to satisfy my hatred. I want to watch her climb to the top, and then drag her all the way back down. That's the only way to truly quench my thirst for vengeance. My dad is both a hopeless romantic and completely whipped by my mom, so he was torn about whose side to take. I didn't put him on the spot. I just laid it out plainly. Mom likes them, so mom can play with them. I hate them, so I'm not playing with them. With that, I went back to my room. After we separated, my dad let out a sigh of relief. He first comforted my mom in the living room, then followed me to my room to console me. Meow meow, you know, your mom and Aunt Lynn have been friends for over 10 years. Their bond is very deep, so it's hard for mom to let go all at once, but mom loves you the most. Okay, so please don't be angry with mom. I've said it before, you like them, you can hang out with them. I don't like them, I won't hang out with them. As long as you stop dragging me to play with Chen Yusin all the time, I won't get upset. Hearing this, my dad breathed a sigh of relief, patted my head, and praised, our Meow Meow is such a thoughtful and understanding little sweetheart. I'll discuss this matter with your mom. 3. Because of the argument on Friday, my mom restrained herself throughout Saturday and Sunday, not bringing up Lin Yu and her mother again, so I had a bit of peace and quiet. However, that peace and quiet only lasted until Monday. Chen Yusin and I went to the same kindergarten, and because our moms, mine and Lin Yu, went to enroll us together, we even ended up in the same class. What rotten luck. The moment Chen Yusin walked into the classroom, she swaggered right up to me. Zhang Yixia praised me. She said I'm smart and that I'm going to be an amazing pianist one day. Shen Miaoyin, this time, I'm definitely going to beat you. In my past life, after we both signed up for piano lessons, she would often seek me out when the teacher wasn't looking, but back then, Mr. Zhang always praised me, so she would come over just to berate me. She didn't just curse at me, she even insulted Mr. Zhang. Back then, I was indignant and tried to reason with her. This time, I didn't say a word, I just picked up the picture book next to me and swung it at her face. Since there was a teacher in the classroom, I only managed to hit her 3 times before I was stopped, but I'm in a young body now, with tender skin. I managed to make Chen Yusin cry, and her face was all red where I hit her. Seeing that I was the one who did it, the teacher questioned me first. Shen Miaoyin, didn't I teach you in class that hitting people is wrong? I retorted defiantly. Well, she started it. That's still no reason to hit someone. If I don't hit her, she'll just come bother me again next time. The teacher was taken aback. Well, you could have told me, I would have talked to little Chen Yusin about it. You can't just start hitting people, understand? Well, now you know, you tell her to stay away from me from now on. If she bothers me again, I'll hit her again. The teacher, Chen Yusin, glared at me fiercely. If you keep this up, I'm telling your mom. I'll have her give you a good spanking. Go ahead, tell her, see if my mom will even lay a finger on me. I tried to sound tough, but my voice grew more and more pitiful. You started it. You were the one who insulted me first. Why is everyone taking your side? I wouldn't have hit you if you hadn't picked on me. Seeing I was about to cry, the teacher was at her wit's end. Worried we'd disturbed the other kids, she quickly ushered us both to the office and then called for my mom and Lin Yu. Lin Yu arrived first, and the moment she stepped through the door, she started shrieking at the top of her lungs, Shen Miaoyin, you little brat, how dare you hit my Xin again? I'm going to beat you to death this time. The teacher frowned, but having likely seen all sorts of parents before, she didn't comment. She just blocked Lin Yu, who was trying to charge at me, and tried to calm her down. I stood behind her with my hands on my hips and shot back. Go ahead, hit me if you dare. The police will come and arrest you. As soon as I finished speaking, my mom hurried over. Seeing my mom arrive, Lin Yu immediately turned her anger on her. Song ran, look at the daughter you've raised. Can't she stop hitting my Xin? My mom looked embarrassed, apologized repeatedly, and finally turned to me. Meow meow, what's gotten into you? Didn't I tell you last time that hitting people is wrong? I stand by what I said. She started it. If she hadn't provoked me, I would have just ignored her. Lin Yu grew even angrier. So you think you're justified for hitting someone? I pointed at her. How dare you criticize me? You know perfectly well I can't stand your daughter, yet you didn't even tell her to stay away from me. My mom was getting angry too, and she called me by my full name. Shen Miaoyin, is that any way to talk to your Auntie Lin? I pointed right back at my mom. I told you, if you like them, you hang out with them. I don't like them, so keep them away from me. My mom was furious and gave me 2 smacks on the backside. I burst into tears right then and there. I wailed on purpose, screaming at the top of my lungs until everyone in the office was covering their ears. Chen Yusin looked at me with a mix of disgust and contempt in her eyes. My mom tried everything, both the carrot and the stick, but nothing could get me to shut up. I was clinging to the office pillar for dear life, so she couldn't just pick me up and carry me away. In the end, she had no choice but to call my dad. My dad rushed to the kindergarten in a panic. The moment I saw him, my sobs quieted down, but I'd been crying so hard and so loud that my voice was already hoarse. Seeing me so utterly heartbroken, my dad immediately took my side. I know my daughter, she would never hit someone unless she was truly wronged, and she would certainly never cry like this. Go ahead, ask the other kids in the class. Has my daughter ever laid a finger on any of them before? If your daughter hadn't provoked mine first, why on earth would my daughter have hit her? After all, he was a man who had been in business for years and had achieved some success. When he got angry, his presence simply overwhelmed everyone else in the office. Finally, my father issued a warning to Lin Yu and her mother, then picked me up, took my mom's hand, and we left, for I was so upset with my mom over this that I gave her the cold shoulder for days. To make my point, I tagged along with my dad to his office every day. My mom was angry at first too, thinking I was being unreasonable, but after my dad talked to her, she was the first to back down. After a week of us not speaking, my mom took me to an amusement park. She sweet-talked and coaxed me the whole time, and we finally made up. I don't know if it's because your physical age affects your mental state, but I genuinely felt that same childlike thrill and excitement of going to an amusement park. But as the day went on, I couldn't help but think of my daughter, who just turned 1. I've lost count of the times I've daydreamed about the future, taking her to amusement parks, the beach, and hiking in the mountains, showing her all the beauty in the world for her to see, hear, wear, and taste. But all those plans were ruined by that damned Chen Yusin. I don't even know if my daughter has recovered from the fright. Will she be scared from now on? Will she have nightmares? And my parents, they've had to bury their own child. How will they go on? And Jiang Zhengyi, he's the type to get stuck in his own head. Whatever became of him? Whenever I think back on my past life, my mood inevitably sinks. My parents thought I was just tired from playing, so they took me home, but right at the entrance to the residential complex, I unexpectedly bumped into a familiar face. Well, not entirely familiar, as I had only ever seen the 7-year-old Jiang Zhengyi in photographs. With him was his grandmother, who was not yet 30 but already carried herself with a mature and graceful poise. The two of them were just about to leave. Jiang Zhengyi had told me he had no relatives or friends in this area, so I quickly realized what was happening. Without hesitation, I grabbed my dad's hair and shouted his name, Jiang Zhengyi. Jiang Zhengyi immediately looked up toward us. I waved at him vigorously, and he came trotting over right away. Hey, don't pull my hair, your old man's running low on inventory here. I quickly let go. My dad, grimacing, lifted me off from around his neck. When Jiang Zhengyi came over and reached out to hold me, my dad stopped him halfway by pressing a hand against his forehead. Hey, you, what do you think you're doing? Don't you know boys and girls should keep a proper distance? Jiang Zhengyi snapped back to reality, his eyes still rimmed red as if he was about to cry. My mom, thinking my dad had made him cry, hurriedly pulled out some snacks to comfort him while scolding my dad. He's just a kid, what are you yelling at him for? My dad looked a bit wronged, but he remained firmly planted between me and Jiang Zhengyi. After taking the snacks, Jiang Zhengyi first greeted my parents very properly. My mom really likes polite kids, so she cheerfully handed him another packet of snacks. My dad snorted coldly and then asked me in a low voice, Sweetie, where did you meet this punk? I gave a vague excuse, saying Jiang Zhengyi had helped me out before. Only then did my dad reluctantly greet him. Just then, my grandma came over and started exchanging pleasantries with my parents. I seized the moment to take Jiang Zhengyi's hand and led him over to the sandpit and slide area. Once we were at a distance where no outsiders could overhear, I crouched by the sandpit, pretending to play, and asked Jiang Zhengyi, what's going on? How come you're back too? Jiang Zhengyi stared at me, stunned for a moment, before finally shaking his head with a smile. Don't worry, I wasn't killed by Chen Yusin. I'd say I lived out my natural life. After all, Yuan and my parents are still here, and I knew I had to take care of them. Hearing this, I breathed a sigh of relief, but my heart ached for him. I patted his shoulder and said, You've been through so much. My heart was still heavy with a mix of sorrow and pity. I asked Jiang Zhengyi many questions about our daughter and our parents. With his eyes downcast, he answered each one for me. Mom and Dad were heartbroken, but they pulled themselves together for Yuanyuan's sake. She was really shaken up, but I later arranged for her to see several child psychologists, with their help, and because she was so young, she slowly forgot about it. At this point, Jiang Zhengyi looked at me and smiled again. Our daughter is so much like you, she looks like you, and her personality is just like yours. Watching that little girl grow up felt like watching you grow up all over again. But, Jiang Zhengyi's eyes grew red once more, but he didn't cry. He let out a sigh and added, "It's so lucky that you're back." Out of habit, I wanted to press his head onto my shoulder and ruffle his hair, like I used to, but the moment Jiang Zhengyi's head touched my shoulder, a sharp, piercing shriek erupted from behind us. By the time we turned around, my dad had already grabbed us, one in each hand, and pulled us apart. My dad glared at Jiang Zhengyi so hard his eyes were practically popping out of his head, but since I was the one who initiated it, he could only fume silently for a moment before turning his anger on me. "Shen Miaoyin, how many times have I told you, you're a young lady. You need to keep your distance from boys. Shoo, 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 don't you whistle and pretend you don't know anything." 5. Ever since that incident, my dad started keeping a close eye on me. Whenever Jiang Zheng came to see me, he'd plant himself right between us like a door god, making it impossible for us to talk about anything. After that, Jiang Zhengyi could only come to see me when my dad wasn't around, but to prevent exactly that, my dad even took over the job of driving me to and from school, and on weekends, he would make a point of keeping me by his side. Our families lived quite far apart, and we were still young, so any outing required an adult to drive us. On top of that, we didn't want to draw Chen Yusen's attention. Because of all this, Jiang Zhengyi and I didn't get to meet very often. During our first meeting, which my dad forcibly cut short, I only managed to get a general idea of how my family had been doing after my death in the previous life. Hearing that they had all pulled themselves together put my mind at ease. At our second meeting, Jiang Zhengyi told me about the fates of Chen Yusen and her parents. Chen Yusen was executed by firing squad for intentional homicide. Her father, who already had an illegitimate child, divorced Lin Yu not long after Chen Yusen's death. Lin Yu had a mental breakdown and was sent to a psychiatric hospital by Jiang Zhengyi. As for the Chen family's company, it went bankrupt within a couple of years. Chen Yusen's father didn't fare well either. As for Chen Yusen's husband, Xiao Rui, he immediately distanced himself from her, even turning her into the police and serving as a witness. He was merely fined a sum of money and then dismissed from his position. Later, unable to make a living in Shuido, he eventually returned to his hometown. I can pretty much guess Chen Yusen's fate. Her actions were despicable, so an eye for an eye, a life for a life. But who wants her miserable life? Just because her own life was a mess, she had to go and destroy another family's happiness. I will never forgive her, not like this. In this lifetime, I will make her pay. Jiang Zhengyi asked me what I wanted to do. She's always trying to one-up me, isn't she? Well, I'll let her climb as high as she wants, and then I'll watch her fall. Jiang Zhengyi grasped my hand and said with determination, "All right, whatever you want to do, I'll help you. This time, I will protect you." I handed over to Jiang Zhengyi the musical score I had secretly transcribed, a piece I had composed in my past life, all without my parents' knowledge. Post these online, but keep it quiet, no promotion or fanfare. Jiang Zhengyi understood my meaning almost immediately. He gave me a nod and took the manuscript. In my past life, a few of the musical scores I composed became huge hits. During that time, Chen Yusen would glare at me with gritted teeth every time she saw me. I figure, in this second chance, if she has even the slightest suspicion that I'm not a reincarnator, she won't be able to resist using them herself. After all, it's not like she hasn't done something similar before. She saw my manuscript, mistakenly thought I hadn't released it yet, so she secretly took it and used it, claiming it as her own original work. Later, she was exposed by the monitoring video of my trial performance, so I think, this time, she definitely won't let these pieces go to waste. I originally thought I'd have to figure it out myself. Since my computer skills are pretty basic, I never expected Jiang Zhengyi to have been reborn too, so it was perfect to ask him for help. Plus, He majored in computer science in university and has always been very skilled professionally. Jiang Zhengyi held the manuscript and fell silent for a moment before suddenly asking, "So, you really don't plan on playing the piano anymore this time?" I raised an eyebrow and shot back, "What, do you only like me when I'm playing the piano?" Jiang Zhengyi was speechless for a beat, then retorted with a huff, "That's right, I don't like any other version of you." I laughed and playfully jumped onto his back. "Oh, come on, I was just kidding." Jiang Zhengyi let out a proud, disdainful snort. Just then, a cough sounded from behind me. Ahem, I turned around and met my dad's glare, which looked like he wanted to devour Jiang Zhengyi whole. Guiltily, I swallowed hard, then slowly clambered off Jiang Zhengyi's back before scurrying over to my dad's side. "Daddy, pick me up." My dad glared at Jiang Zhengyi while scooping me into his arms. I gave him a big, smacking kiss on the cheek, and only then did his anger subside. Sixth. Now, back to Chen Yusen. Even though she caused a huge scene at the kindergarten last time, her mother had instilled a combative streak in her, plus, she wanted to confirm whether I had really been reborn, so she still deliberately got close to me from time to time. For that reason, I specifically asked my dad if I could learn martial arts. Every time she came near me, I'd give her a beating. Lin Yu wasn't wrong about one thing. I really did get addicted to beating her up. Eventually, Chen Yusen finally learned her lesson and stopped coming around me. I even felt a little lonely because of it. TSK, but I kept up with the martial arts training, because I had discovered the tangible benefits of strength. Chen Yusen found out I was learning martial arts and gave it a try herself for a while. However, this caused her to fall behind in her piano lessons. While that wasn't a big deal for someone like her, who had been reborn, her piano teacher did start to form a less favorable opinion of her because of it. Moreover, there was no shortage of talented students in her piano class, so she had no choice but to give up martial arts and refocus her efforts solely on the piano. Besides, Lin Yu doesn't care for martial arts either. She thinks, all that yelling and fighting is so uncouth. What if I end up all muscular and can't even get married? Of course, I think there's another big reason. Chen Yusen probably figured that since I signed up for the martial arts class first, she couldn't possibly outdo me, so she just gave up. Even after dropping martial arts, she still came up to me once, trying to act tough. It was pretty much what Lin Yu said, but she tacked on at the end, "Humph, and Jiang Zhengyi will be mine too. Just you wait." I took the chance to give her another beating. Actually, every time I hit Chen Yusen, Lin Yu would always wait for my dad to be out and then storm over to my mom, demanding an explanation. Afterwards, my mom would try to reason with me, but I'd always shut her down with the same line, "If she didn't act like such a bitch in the first place, why would I even bother with her?" That one sentence always left my mom speechless. In this matter, my dad always had my back. Back in second grade, Lin Yu tried to teach me a lesson while my parents were away. Even though she had an overwhelming advantage in strength, I had been practicing martial arts for over 2 years. Combined with her overconfidence and carelessness, I didn't come out of it too badly. Sure, I got slapped, punched, and kicked, but I managed to bite a chunk of flesh right off her arm. If I had to hold back a little with Chen Yusen, I felt absolutely no fear facing someone as much older as Lin Yu. If no one had shown up when they did, I would have taken another bite out of her. When others found out about the incident later, no one blamed me. Everyone said Lin Yu was a bully for picking on someone so much younger. Lin Yu was injured, humiliated, and absolutely furious, but there was nothing she could do. To top it off, my dad had her taken to the police station, though her husband later bailed her out. After that, Lin Yu and her daughter became the common enemy of both my father and me. Because of that incident, my mom finally started to genuinely distance herself from Lin Yu, but since she's not good at saying no, she still occasionally couldn't help making a comment. 7. I didn't take up piano, but I did learn martial arts. As for other things, like the academic performance Chen Yusen cared so much about, I always kept my scores in check, aligning them with the rankings I remembered. Chen Yusen, however, leveraged her rebirth cheat to consistently stay at the top of the class. She finally got her wish, to trample me underfoot, but Chen Yusen has gotten smarter these days. Ever since second grade, she only provokes me from a distance. I guess that incident where I bit a chunk of flesh out of her mom left her with some psychological scars too. How ironic. So even she understands that when someone's life is going well and full of hope, They're not willing to just die, but I don't pay her much mind, so she and Lin Yu can only seek validation from my mom. Every time exam results come out, Lin Yu goes to show off to my mom, my Xining got first in the grade again. How about your Shen Miaoyin? What score did she get this time? At first, my mom would smile and say, my Miao Miao did quite well too. Lin Yu would then sneer, quite well, my Xining told me she only ranked 5th in her class this time, which puts her around 40th or 50th in the whole grade. You're just too easygoing. If my Xining ever dared to bring home a grade like that, I'd break her legs. Later, my mom realized Lin Yu was just fishing for compliments. When chatting, she'd start brushing her off with vague replies like, not bad, or oh. Lin Yu thought my mom was upset because she felt outshone, which only made her even more smug. However, on one occasion, I overheard Lin Yu egging my mom on to hit me. By then, I was already in middle school. Thanks to regular exercise, I was taller than I had been at this point in my previous life, almost as tall as Lin Yu. I stood coldly before her with my backpack slung over one shoulder, and she didn't dare say a word. After a while, seeing me still sitting in the living room, she didn't say anything more and just slunk away. That time, my mom didn't scold me for being rude. Instead, she happily cooked a whole table full of my favorite dishes. 8. By the time she reached high school, Chen Yusen began to struggle with her academic subjects. This was especially true for math, physics, and chemistry. These subjects emphasize comprehension. Only by thoroughly understanding each individual concept can one methodically tackle their endlessly varied problems. I actually noticed a long time ago that Chen Yusen seems to be better at the humanities than at the sciences, whether it was the 7 subjects in middle school or the 9 in high school. Her grades in the liberal arts always seemed to be a bit higher. Of course, I only picked up on this because she was always making her presence felt right in front of me. Before the high school track selection, in every exam where I outscored her in the sciences, she'd turn to her arts subjects to try and one-up me, but I didn't care. My focus has always been solely on myself, which really took the wind out of Chen Yusen's sails. I think that's exactly why she ended up choosing the science track out of spite back then. But who really knows, this time, to make sure Chen Yusen would stick with the science subjects she's not good at, I even went out of my way to casually badmouth the humanities in front of her, against my own better judgment. What does being good at the humanities even prove? It's just rote memorization. Anyone can do well in it. In a tech-driven society, STEM is king. Then, when Chen Yusen wasn't around, she would comfort her friend by saying, the humanities require strong comprehension skills, not just memory. If they were really that easy, the ratio of humanities to STEM students wouldn't be so lopsided. So, what you were saying just now, I was being sarcastic. Didn't you catch that? I just couldn't stand watching Chen Yusen gloat like that anymore. After hearing me go on about it so much, Chen Yusen ended up choosing the science track in the second semester of 10th grade, just as I expected. 9. Not only did Chen Yusen choose to study science, a subject she wasn't good at, but she also poured a great deal of time and energy into another pursuit, chasing after Jiang Zhengyi. In our previous life, it was in high school that we first met Jiang Zhengyi. In the first semester of our freshman year, Jiang Zhengyi and I performed a duet together at the school's arts festival. After that, rumors about the two of us slowly began to circulate around campus. It just occurred to me, that's when shipping culture really started to take off among people our age. But the truth is, Jiang Zhengyi and I were complete strangers back then. That duet was, at most, the beginning of our story. We didn't really become close until we were in university, but Chen Yusen didn't know that. She believed all the rumors even when Jiang Zhengyi and I both denied it. She just assumed we were lying, afraid she'd report us to the school for dating too young. Honestly, it's hard to describe, but what's even more bizarre is that Chen Yusen, while still under the impression that something was going on between Jiang Zhengyi and me, started secretly pursuing him anyway. Did she even like Jiang Zhengyi? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think she was so infatuated that she completely lost her mind. It wasn't so much about liking Jiang Zhengyi himself. It was more like she wanted to prove her charm was superior to mine by taking him from me. Just like in this lifetime, when Chen Yusen was chosen to perform a duet with Jiang Zhengyi, her instinctive reaction was still to shoot me a look of provocation and smug triumph. However, Jiang Zhengyi didn't agree. he turned down the performance. Furious, Chen Yusen came after me again and started going off the rails. Was it you? Did you stop Senior Jiang from performing with me? I guess I'm getting older, because I didn't hit her. I just rolled my eyes. Are you insane? What's that got to do with me? Besides, I don't even know any Senior Jiang. Only then did Chen Yusen snap out of it. She realized the other students were looking at her like she was a lunatic. She threw another fit, digging her already terrible reputation an even deeper hole, and, in her previous life, she was just a bit of a loner, desperate to surpass me. She poured all her energy into studying and the piano. The pressure must have been immense. Under that kind of strain, not only does the process of learning and practicing become more painful, but it also scatters your focus, making you put in twice the effort for half the results. So, despite all that hard work, she didn't make much headway. But this time around, Chen Yusen, armed with the knowledge of her rebirth, looks down on us, her peers, with a touch of condescending arrogance. Honestly, that's even more off-putting than just being a loner. So in this life, Chen Yusen's popularity was even worse. It was manageable in middle school, as she still had the capital to be arrogant, but high school was a different story. By that age, her peers' academic understanding had caught up to, or even surpassed, that of adults. Furthermore, whether in her general studies or in honing her piano skills, the slight advantage Chen Yusen had gained from her rebirth had run its course. Her little air of superiority had nowhere left to go, unless she settles down and focuses on genuinely improving herself, instead of fixating on me as a rival, pretending to study hard while actually obsessing over me. Nothing will change, of course. There's another potential chance for a dramatic comeback. In her past life, she memorized our Gaokao exam papers and the answers, but that's a long way off. Right now, her only goal is to outdo me in the present, so, with just a little nudge, Chen Yusen will walk right down that path. At the freshman year talent show, Chen Yusen actually performed the first hit song I wrote in my previous life. The results were excellent. She went viral online that very day, right after finishing her performance on stage. She glanced at me guiltily, but seeing no particular expression on my face, she was reassured. Then, amidst the chorus of praise from everyone, she became smug all over again, especially after Jiang Zhengyi, because of this piece, took the initiative to strike up a conversation with her. The way she looked at me at that moment was like she was ready to dance on my grave. I rolled my eyes and ignored her. 11. That original piano piece by a 15-year-old girl went viral online for a while, but by her sophomore year of high school, the hype had completely died down. Even though many of the naive students at school still looked up to her a bit because of it, I deliberately steered the conversation. It's just composing one piece. Anyone with real talent wouldn't stop at just one, and every time Chen Yusen went looking for Jiang Zhengyi, she would run into my subtle nudging. Got any new inspiration yet? By that time, Jiang Zhengyi had already left for university, so Chen Yusen had to rely almost entirely on QQ to contact him, and as it happened, I was the one in control of that particular QQ account. It didn't take long for Chen Yusen's impatience to get the better of her, and she soon posted a second plagiarized song. To be fair, she had posted her own original compositions before, but they never gained much traction. After all, if she were truly capable of creating music that appealed to the masses, why would she have resorted to such an extreme method to end our lives in our previous existence? As expected, Chen Yusen once again became an overnight sensation online. This time, I put on an act, feigning a somewhat jealous expression, which made Chen Yusen immensely pleased with herself. However, her satisfaction was short-lived. Deep down, she still yearned to achieve success through her own compositions. Otherwise, no matter how illustrious her life might become, she would still feel she had lost to the version of me from her past life. Driven by this obsession, no further prompting was needed. Simply asking her, in my capacity as Jiang Zhengyi, if she intended to pursue an artistic path was enough for Chen Yusen to decisively abandon her academic studies and dedicate herself entirely to art. I have to admit, with Jiang Zhengyi by my side after our rebirth, my plans have been progressing remarkably smoothly. 12. Chen Yusen would release one of her own compositions every now and then, but none of them ever really took off. I would then ask her what was going on. Using Jiang Zhengyi's name as a pretext, Chen Yusen got anxious, then used my composition and enjoyed another brief moment in the spotlight. By her senior year of high school, Chen Yusin had already become an online influencer with over 1 million followers. Around that time, short video platforms like Douyin were exploding in popularity. Chen Yusin became one of the first wave of influencers. The benefits and vanity brought by the traffic, coupled with her mistaken belief that I could never surpass her in piano, finally made her shift her focus away from me. By this point, Chen Yusin was already past 18. I could just about push her over the edge now, but then I thought it over. Even though I've always considered revenge my top priority, I have to admit I've benefited from this second chance. For instance, studying comes much more naturally this time around, and I'm confident I can score higher on the exams than I did before. Since fate has given me this opportunity, I can't afford to waste this life on Chen Yusin. I've decided to let her gloat a little longer. At least until the college entrance exams are over. I've waited this many years. A few more days won't make a difference. 13. On the day the college entrance exams ended, Chen Yusin's fan count had already surpassed 5 million. It was also the peak of her popularity. This was because she had released another song I had previously composed specifically to wish exam takers good luck. It was a massive hit. What's more, this time, a prestigious foreign music conservatory had already extended an offer to Chen Yusin, so she didn't even take the national college entrance exam. But on the 2 days of the exam, Chen Yusin showed up at school. Of course, it wasn't to take the test, but to gloat in front of me. Some people still have to slog through the gaokao, not like me. I got a call from a professor at a top music school before the exams even started. Shen Miaoyin, I take back what I said before. I claimed that your life in this lifetime should belong to me, but the reality is, I've simply done better than you. I won. I ignored her throughout the exams. My parents even tried to shoo her and Lin Yu away in the middle of it all, but without fail, the two of them would show up right after every test, trying to mess with my head. When she started repeating that same nonsense to me again after the final exam, I sent a message to Jiang Zhengyi. It's done. The response came swiftly, with terrifying efficiency, in less than 5 minutes. Hashtags like hashtag Chen Yusin plagiarism and hashtag prodigy music girl copies began trending online. This time, when Chen Yusin was showing off in front of me, I was in such a good mood that I just tilted my head and gave her a smile. Is that so? Well, as the old saying goes, even a cooked duck can still fly away. Chen Yusin was taken aback. I didn't give her a chance to react, just got into my dad's car. 5 minutes later, my mom received a call from Lin Yu. She couldn't bring herself to have a complete falling out with Lin Yu just yet, but the day she makes up her mind for good isn't far off. When the call connected, the voice on the other end wasn't Lin Yu's, but Chen Yusin's. Where's Shen Miaoyin? Was it her? Did she spread those rumors online? My mom froze for a second, then turned to look at me. What rumors? I reached out my hand, and my mom immediately passed me her phone. What's wrong? Got a taste for stealing and now you think you're the original creator? There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Chen Yusin's voice trembled slightly as she asked, why you really came back to life? I stopped playing dumb, Chen Yusin shrieked. So you were faking it this whole time? You've been playing me for a fool. Shen Miaoyin, how could you be so treacherous? I'll kill you. I swear I'll kill you. My dad slammed on the brakes. Before I could even process what was happening, he snatched the phone from my hand and roared, you lay one goddamn finger on my daughter and I dare you to see what happens. I'll chop you into mincemeat and feed you to the dogs. So help me God. I let it slide when you were a kid because you were young and stupid, but now you've crossed a line. It's not just you. I'll dig up every last one of your ancestors and grind their bones to dust. After yelling at me, my dad hung up the phone. An awkward silence fell over the car, the mood turning somber. My mom tried to calm my dad down, saying, she's just a kid. Kids don't always watch what they say. There's no need to get so worked up. For the first time in front of me, my dad ignored my mom. I sighed, propping my head up as I watched the scenery recede outside, offering no further explanation. 14. Since I had Jiang Zheng post the manuscript online first thing to preserve the evidence, there was no room for argument about Chen Yusin's plagiarism. Furthermore, netizens quickly discovered that all of Chen Yusin's hit songs were plagiarized, with a stark quality gap between her own work and what she stole. The excuse her fans had made for her, that good compositions require time and luck, now felt like a Series of stinging slaps to Chen Yusen's face. Some even pointed out that more skilled pianists could play these same pieces far more beautifully. The internet was soon flooded with widespread mockery and disparagement directed at Chen Yusen. The more dazzling her online fame was before the college entrance exams, the more pitiful and disgraced she appeared now. That prestigious music conservatory was quick to distance itself from her. 2. I removed her from Jiang Zhengyi's alternate accounts. Friend list. On top of that, she had even given up taking the college entrance exams for the sake of the piano. Chen Yusen truly has nothing left now, and it's because of me. If she was extreme in her past life, she's only going to be more so in this one. Chen Yusen has developed murderous intentions towards me again. I've been waiting for this day. To that end, I even made a point of spreading the news that I got into a better university this time, the weight of all those mountains pressing down on her heart finally became too much for Chen Yusen to bear. One night, she snapped, grabbed a kitchen knife, and stormed right over to my place. Shen Miaoyin, I'm going to kill you. I thought my 12 years of martial arts training were finally about to be put to the ultimate test, but before Chen Yusen could even set foot inside, Jiang Zhengyi appeared out of nowhere and pinned her down. I immediately stepped forward, trying to smooth things over. Honey, you're amazing. Jiang Zhengyi ignored me, clearly upset. I had originally told him I'd ask for his help later, but I was worried Chen Yusen wouldn't get a chance to make her move, so I kept it from him, telling him she was holed up at home and hadn't left yet. I felt a pang of guilt. Chen Yusen was even more distraught. You, all of you, you're in on this too. I had no mind to deal with her. After tying her up, I spent the time calming Jiang Zhengyi down while waiting for the police, even though she didn't actually manage to hurt me. Attempted murder and breaking and entering are more than enough. That night, Chen Yusen was taken to the police station. I felt an immense sense of relief, but my parents were terrified. My mother went to find Lin Yu that very day and almost strangled her. I considered you a friend, and your daughter actually wanted to kill my daughter. Do you have any conscience at all? Lin Yu also broke down, unleashing the malice she had harbored deep in her heart at my mother. That's right, I have no conscience. Not only did Xin want to kill that little bitch, but I want to kill you too. Why did you, Song Ran, get born into such a good life? Why do you, Song Ran, get to be loved by everyone? I reacted in a flash, pulling my mom away and kicking Lin Yu aside. A split second later, and the knife she'd been hiding would have plunged into my mother's body. I quickly pinned Lin Yu down. She was still trying to struggle free. She had truly lost her mind. She was still screaming at my mom. I won back then when we got married. I married the richer man. That damned Shen Jiming was just a penniless loser. How dare he make money? Fine, he made money, but why didn't he change? Why didn't he get a mistress? How come he still loves you even though you're so old now? Why? I finally discovered Xin's talent for the piano. She was so brilliant, composing her own pieces by 15, and they were so good. I thought I had finally won, but why? Why did it have to end up like this? Why does misfortune always find me? Why does fate always favor you? When Chen Etienne returned and saw us holding Lin Yu down, he didn't blame us. Instead, without a word, he declared, "She's insane, I'll have her committed to a psychiatric hospital." It was those words that truly drove Lin Yu over the edge. She struggled violently, and for a moment, my father and I couldn't hold her. The instant she broke free, she charged straight at Chen Etienne, and the small knife in her hand plunged swiftly into his body, fearing Lin Yu might hurt someone else again. We called the police. 15. After that, my mother broke down in tears, holding me and apologizing over and over. "I'm so sorry, it's all my fault." I patted my mother on the back, at a loss for words. This disaster was inextricably linked to her, but I was worried she'd be scarred by it and never recover, so I offered a few words of comfort anyway. "See, everything's fine." My mother didn't speak. She just cried even harder, almost choking on her sobs. In that moment, my mother said nothing, but I could read it all in her expression. "Mom, you remember too?" My mother nodded, her face etched with pain. I let out a sigh. Jiang Zhengyi tried to reassure me by saying my parents had pulled themselves together for Yuan's sake, but I'm my mother's daughter. How could I not know the guilt she's carrying? She must be going through immense psychological torment as well. After all, she's my mother. She's just a bit naive in her kindness, not lacking in love for me. The news of Chen Yusen's home invasion and murder quickly broke. and then her former classmates started airing all her old, dirty laundry. From school, Chen Yusen became a complete social pariah. Just like in her previous life, Lin Yu was sent to an asylum. Chen Etienne's injuries weren't too severe. After a few months in the hospital, he sold his house and left for somewhere else. On the day Chen Yusen was imprisoned, I went to see her. "You came here just to gloat, didn't you?" "Yeah, I didn't hold back. Thanks to you, I got into Kyoto University this time, and I'm even at the same school as Senior Jiang. With the memories from my past life, I'm sure our startup will go even smoother. Sorry, but I beat you again." Chen Yusen was seething with hatred. "You think Jiang Zhengyi will like you for long? He'll probably get tired of you soon, find a mistress, and toss you out like trash." I shrugged indifferently. "I'm not your mother." Chen Yusen was utterly enraged. She stood up and slammed her hands against the glass partition. Even as the guards forcibly dragged her away, she was still screaming threats to kill me. "Now that's more like it. What's the fun in her being dead? Watching her suffer like this is the real entertainment." 16. After every success of mine, I would go to the prison to visit Chen Yusen every single time. Chen Yusen would be so furious she looked like she could kill me with her eyes from across the room. I just love the way she can't stand me but can't do a thing about it. Jiang Zhengyi didn't try to stop me either. In fact, still holding a grudge over Chen Yusen's initial doubts about his character when she first went to prison, he made a point of visiting her periodically to report on the status of his feelings for me. Later, after I got to know the prison guards, one of them told me that Jiang Zhengyi's report was always the same single sentence: "I still love her very much." I know, because my mom later told me about Jiang Zhengyi after I passed away in my previous life. I think if he didn't truly love me, he wouldn't have been so distraught that he nearly took his own life on several occasions. Even if my mom never told me, I know Jiang Zhengyi loves me. My parents taught me what real love is, so I know it when I see it. END. Story 2. Our clam spirit clan could transform by swallowing pearls. On our coming-of-age day, our chieftain father brought a dragon pearl and a mermaid pearl for my sister and me to choose. In our past life, my sister hastily chose the dragon pearl but failed to fully transform into a dragon. She merely grew a single horn, becoming a hideous black water serpent. I swallowed the mermaid pearl instead, transforming into a beautiful merfolk that made all the young elites of our clan vie for my favor. Even foreign nobles came bearing gifts, all just to catch a glimpse of her beauty. The dragon prince himself fell for me at first sight, wishing to make me his bride. Envied across all seas, given a second life, when my sister rushed to claim the mermaid's pearl this time, I only smiled. During the imperial consort ceremony, my sister approached under the pretense of presenting gifts, then plunged a poison dagger deep into my chest. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of the pearl selection. "I want this mermaid's pearl." The moment I heard those words, I knew my sister had also been reborn. "Cora, no." My normally composed and kind mother paled in alarm, hastily dissuading me. "A mermaid pearl can't hold a candle to a dragon pearl." Father also frowned slightly. "Cora, do you realize this dragon pearl was obtained through my utmost efforts? It contains the very chance of dragon ascension, yet in my past life, after younger sister chose the dragon pearl, mother had comforted me by saying each pearl had its own merits. Since fate has destined the dragon pearl for my sister, as the elder sibling, I shall content myself with the mermaid pearl." Father remained silent, though I'd long known my parents favored my younger sister. I'd always followed their teachings of forbearance and never quarreled with her, yet I never imagined they'd show such blatant favoritism in such a crucial matter. Those seemingly comforting words from mother in my past life, which made me believe she still cared for my feelings, now revealed themselves as utterly hypocritical. Father's seemingly impartial silence, leaving the choice entirely to us sisters, now appears utterly ridiculous. The clamshell bit deep into the flesh, yet I remained silent as my heart grew cold. But my younger sister snatched up the mermaid's pearl in one swift motion. "Spare your words, father and mother. My decision is final." Watching my parents finally yield to my sister's demand for the mermaid pearl, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The moment I realized I'd been reborn on this pearl-choosing day again, I'd already made up my mind. I'd rather refine a common pearl and become a clam spirit than ever touch that cursed mermaid pearl again. Meeting my sister's haughty, triumphant gaze that reeked of superiority, a cold smirk tugged at my lips. In her past life, My sister only saw the mermaid's beauty and rarity that made them the object of universal admiration. Little did she know the dangers concealed beneath their beauty, or the dark truths behind their scarcity. The Marine Chronicles record. Mermaids possess fishtails and human forms, their beauty is peerless, their grace enchanting, their voices melodious. And their tears crystallize into pearls, infused with celestial essence. Drinking their blood preserves youth, while consuming their flesh extends longevity. Yet pitiful clans like the clamshell tribe, weak and marginalized, could never uncover such deliberately concealed secrets. The moment my sister drove that dagger into my heart, whatever fragile sisterly bond we had was severed forever. Now I only wish to see her face when she discovers the bloody truth beneath that polished facade. And my ever dutiful father who always put the clan first, along with my vain mother who treasures her beauty above all. Will they make the same choices as they did in our past life? How utterly thrilling! I stepped forward and cradled the enormous, lustrous dragon pearl from the case, its 9-colored radiance swirling within, dazzling beyond measure. By comparison, the once glorious mermaid pearl paled into insignificance. Its palm-sized form now appeared as tiny as a grain of rice. It must have taken real effort for my past life mother to keep a straight face while claiming they're practically the same, since Cora has graciously yielded the dragon pearl to you. Remember this kindness and always protect your younger sister. Seeing she couldn't dissuade my sister, mother turned to admonish me instead. With the dragon pearl in your possession comes the duty to lead our clam spirit clan to prosperity. Father likewise began lecturing me. My sister never heard such warnings when she obtained the dragon pearl in her past life. Instead, mother insisted I mustn't flaunt it and ordered me to wear a veil to spare my sister's feelings. Father admonished me to maintain proper distance from the opposite sex, forbade me from making marital decisions independently, and reminded me to remain grateful while contributing to our clan. Elder sister's talent is mediocre and cultivation feeble. Let's hope she doesn't fail the refinement process. Wasting this treasure would be trivial, but losing her shape-shifting ability would be disastrous. Cora's mocking tone carried through, and this time I clearly detected the malice lurking beneath her feigned concern. The covetous yet resentful gaze she fixed upon the dragon pearl told me everything. Though she'd chosen the mermaid's tear, she couldn't bear seeing such treasure fall into my hands, so she lashed out with venom, determined to spoil my triumph. Little did she know, after our first magic duel ended with her wailing defeat, and mother's harsh rebuke, father's confinement punishment, I'd learned the art of concealing my brilliance. My magical prowess has long surpassed hers by an immeasurable margin. Even if ascending to dragonhood isn't guaranteed, becoming a flood dragon is absolutely certain. Though flood dragons may be hideous in appearance, their power ranks second only to true dragons across the 4 seas, more than sufficient for self-preservation, with the potential to still ascend to dragonhood. In my past life, I possessed supreme treasures yet lacked the strength to wield them, enduring every bitter consequence of that imbalance. In this lifetime, I shall reach the pinnacle of the great Tao and make all who've wronged me pay dearly. Little sister should worry about herself instead of meddling in others' affairs, remembering how in my past life I endured every humiliation, even sacrificing my flesh to obtain treasures for these so-called blood relatives, only to be repaid with a dagger to my heart. No longer swallowing my pride as before, I fired back with icy contempt. If no amount of effort can earn me a shred of genuine affection, then in this lifetime, I refuse to compromise my dignity ever again. Apparently stunned by my merciless sarcasm, Cora's eyes widened in disbelief. You, Saren, your sister was only trying to help. How dare you be so ungrateful? Mother's angry scolding left a bitter taste in my heart. My words were merely meant to remind my sister to care for herself. She failed to detect the malice in my sister's remarks, yet had the audacity to accuse me of ingratitude. When the heart leans, so too does its sense of right and wrong. How regrettable that in my past life, I remained blind to this truth, always succumbing to the urge to plead my case through grievances. After bloodletting rituals to preserve my mother's youth, I clung to the hope of receiving even a shred of fairness, only to be met with repeated disappointments. Can't mother tell whether this is genuine concern or veiled malice from my sister? Enough. Must you quarrel over trifles? Both of you, begin your cultivation at once and strive for manifestation. Father's seemingly impartial words, this pretense of equal blame, only deepened the sorrow in my heart. Whenever disputes arose between my sister and me, father would feign ignorance the moment she gained the upper hand, yet when I'm in the right, he'd muddle through just like today. How pitiful that in my past life, I was fooled by this act, believing my father was at least fair, obeying his every word, even if he demanded my flesh. I swallowed his nonsense about the mermaid pearls being hard won by our kin, and I owed it to repay such fortune, willingly enduring excruciating pain day and night to secure resources for the clan. I wonder if in this lifetime, after learning the true purpose of mermaid flesh, father could still righteously declare, as the princess of the clam tribe, it's only natural to sacrifice for the family. Seeing my sister eagerly begin refining the mermaid pearl, I too drew the dragon pearl into my body. How laughable that in our past life, our parents saw only perfection in my sister. Naturally they kept her drinking kin's blood and devouring her own sister's flesh completely hidden. They simply mixed my flesh and blood into her meals in secret, making her consume it unknowingly. Their favoritism proved fortunate. My sister saw only the mermaid's virtues, blind to their hidden filth. This lifetime's obsession with seizing mermaid pearls as supreme treasures granted me this chance to ascend as a dragon. Scorching waves radiated from the dragon pearl through my limbs as agony crushed and remade my body, my will clinging desperately to consciousness. Wave after endless wave of torment crashed against me like the sea battering unyielding rocks. Fortunately, my past life experiences had tempered my spirit to endure pain, allowing me to remain conscious throughout the dragon pearl's baptism. Time blurred in my mind, but I faintly sensed I was lasting longer than my sister had in her previous incarnation. Suddenly, a foreboding feeling gripped my heart. My sister must remember roughly how long it took her to refine the dragon pearl in her past life. She might not mind me transforming into an ugly serpent to accentuate her beauty, but what if she discovers my potential to become a dragon, watching me achieve what she failed to accomplish in our past life? Would she simply stand by and do nothing, remembering the dagger that pierced my heart in our previous existence? I dared not entertain any illusions. Gritting my teeth, I channeled my magic to stimulate the dragon pearl, hastening its refinement. My entire body burned with such agony that I nearly cried out. Fortunately, after weathering this wave, the refinement process was nearing its end. With unease in my heart, I forced my eyes open just a sliver. My sister, now transformed into a mermaid, cast a suspicious glance my way as she slowly gathered magical energy in her palm. Anxiety churned within me, yet I remained powerless to act. Trapped and defenseless, I could only watch helplessly as my sister's spell took shape while desperately trying to refine my own energy. A sudden surge of magic shot from her hands toward my shell, accompanied by her theatrically distressed voice. Oh dear, I've just taken human form and can't quite control my powers yet. Ack. The words were cut short by a resounding dragon's roar. I burst through the ocean's surface, soaring skyward as my serpentine form unfurled in unrestrained glory. Arcane energy coursed through my veins while the four seas churned with turbulence at my awakening. At last, I assumed human form and descended upon the eastern sea's domain, the clam spirit's territory. The feeble spell bounced off the dragon's impenetrable scales without leaving even a scratch. Impossible. How could you transform into a dragon? Cora screamed in disbelief, her eyes burning holes into the twin horns on my forehead as if trying to shatter them with sheer hatred. Her gaze dripping with resentment and envy. Little sister, what exactly were you trying to do just now? I demanded coldly, an invisible aura of dominance pressing down on Cora. Her face turned deathly pale as she stumbled backward, eyes darting nervously. The astonished delight on Mother's face at my dragon transformation vanished instantly upon hearing my challenge, replaced by sharp rebuke. Saren, is that any way to speak to your sister? Just because you've transformed doesn't mean you can forget your roots in our past life. When Cora merely transformed into a flood dragon, Mother said such metamorphosis would elevate one's status entirely. She warned me against acting superior as the elder sister, insisting I show respect to my younger sibling. Yet now that I've ascended as a true dragon, this is the treatment I receive. Setting aside these tangled emotions, I simply wish to witness how far Mother will go. Had I not shape-shifted in time, that spell of yours would have annihilated both my spirit and flesh. Little sister, do I not have the right to ask? Cora just attacked me publicly during the refinement ritual. Even Mother couldn't pretend not to see it, so she nitpicked my tone instead. Was that murderous glare really necessary? A simple question could have cleared the misunderstanding. Mother, I didn't mean to. Realizing her mistake, Cora turned to her mother with a pleading look and began explaining, I just transformed and couldn't control my magic properly. I never meant to hit sister. There, don't be scared, Cora. See, your sister's perfectly fine. Seeing Cora on the verge of tears, mother's heart melted as she rushed to comfort her before finally turning to me, her gaze lingering on the dragon horns. Mother's tone softened at last. You heard it yourself. Cora didn't mean it. As the elder sister, must you be so petty with your little sister? Peeking from behind mother, Cora shot me a triumphant, taunting look, as if saying, so what if you become a dragon? Still not mother's favorite. I remained silent, just lifting my gaze to meet father's. Father stared at the dragon horns before finally turning his stern face toward Cora. Cora, apologize. Cora froze, looking at father in shock. Meeting that stern, uncompromising gaze, she finally turned to face me with visible reluctance. Little sister didn't mean it just now. You're so magnanimous, dear elder sister. You wouldn't hold it against me, would you? Of course not. Before I could speak, mother hastily cut in with a conciliatory laugh. Sisters should never hold grudges overnight. Now that the misunderstanding is cleared and Cora has apologized, you two should make up and get along as harmoniously as before. Enough now. Today marks your successful transformations. A joyous occasion. Let's put this matter behind us and not spoil the celebration. With a flick of his sleeve, father's expression instantly brightened into a smile. I'll gather our kin right away to host a feast in honor of you sisters. These words severed the last lingering hope I held for my parents in my heart. The debt of raising me was repaid in our past life through blood and sacrifice. This lifetime belongs to me alone. Fortunately, I no longer need others to fight my battles. My own strength is justice enough. Her flowing gossamer dress rippled with the water's motion as a crushing aura, tenfold more oppressive than before, surged toward Cora. Cora suddenly spewed a mouthful of blood, her body going limp as she collapsed to the ground, all her previous defiance and arrogance toward me gone in an instant. For the sake of our sisterhood, I'll let today's matter slide, but if you dare cross me again, I won't hesitate to end you. The voice, laced with draconic authority, sent a tremor through Cora's very core. Meeting my murderous slit-pupiled glare, fear finally flooded her eyes. Saren, you, mother stood equally shocked and furious, but as she opened her mouth to demand answers, an overwhelming pressure like mountains and seas crashed down, choking her words in her throat. All who stand in my way, be they who they may, shall perish. My slitted pupils swept over mother with glacial indifference, my voice devoid of any warmth. How dare you? Father roared in fury, but in the next instant, my draconic aura silenced him completely. He could only stare at me in shock, lips trembling uncontrollably. The dignity of dragonkind is absolute. Was that Cora transforming into a dragon just now? Bursting from the sea, a voice brimming with excitement and urgency cut through the tense atmosphere in the courtyard. My gaze locked onto the intruder, eyes burning with unrestrained killing intent. The newcomer was none other than Axel, a strikingly handsome figure, the Pearl Oyster Spirit clan's most outstanding talent of this generation. His cultivation far surpasses all others in our generation. Father holds him in such high regard that there were whispers of betrothing one of us sisters to him. He's always siding with Cora against me, constantly cooking up ridiculous pranks to torment me. I used to think he fancied my younger sister, so I never bothered to confront him in my past life. After I transformed into a mermaid, he suddenly changed his demeanor and began courting me. I assumed he was merely captivated by the mermaid's beauty, which filled me with contempt and disdain. Little did I know he was conspiring with outsiders. His approach was calculated, a deliberate inside job. You got me thrown into the dungeon, carved my flesh for blood, and nearly killed me. I'll never rest until this debt is repaid. Of all things, Axel took one look at Cora collapsed and vomiting blood, the dragon horns on my forehead, and my parents glaring at me, then suddenly darted in front of Cora with a protective stance, staring me down with righteous fury. Saren, how dare you steal your little sister's chance to become a dragon, and resort to violence? Disgraceful. Get on your knees and beg for forgiveness. Hearing this, I let out a furious laugh and hurled a spell at Axel. Who the hell do you think you are, daring to put on airs before me? Seeing my attack, Axel's expression changed abruptly, as he frantically conjured a magical barrier. But it couldn't even hold for a second. He was instantly blasted backward, his body slamming against the courtyard wall with a sickening thud, barely clinging to life. Axel, with a heart-wrenching cry, Cora collapsed to the ground and crawled toward Axel, who was coughing up blood incessantly, their tragic love mirroring doomed mandarin ducks. Cora, my poor, wretched Cora, perhaps cowed by my earlier glare. Mother dared not rebuke me further, merely beating her chest in anguished sobs. Witnessing the chaotic scene, Father trembled with rage and pointed at me, shouting furiously, "You wretched disgrace! How dare you lay hands on our own kin?" I sneered. "Were it not for our blood ties, he wouldn't have left here alive today, you." Father's accusing finger still hovered when a streak of magical light soared from afar, unfurling into glowing script before him. "The Crab Clan congratulates Brother Clam on the joyous arrival of his dragon daughter. We shall dispatch our fourth prince with gifts to pay our respects." Hawk, a cold glint flashed through my slit pupils as murderous intent flooded my heart. In my past life, this very Hawk, the Crab Clan's erudite fourth prince who fancied himself a scholar, had pretended to court me. When rejected, he secretly conspired with Axel. They shackled me in a filthy dungeon, carving my flesh and draining my blood day and night to curry favor, amass wealth, and feed their insatiable greed. Then word got out, and I became prey, hunted and plundered by every faction under the sun. Even my own parents succumbed to avarice, robbing me of peace forevermore. In this life, I'll peel that wretched crab shell by shell, tear its guts out, and grind its carcass to dust. Only then will my torment be repaid. But before that, we must fulfill Cora's lifelong wish. Let her bask in the spotlight and savor the adoration of the crowd. The Conch clan congratulates Brother Clam on the birth of the Dragon Maiden. Our second princess shall visit with gifts. The Shrimp Clan congratulates Brother Clam on the Dragon Maiden's arrival. Our third prince will pay respects bearing tribute. In the blink of an eye, magical missives came streaming in, a dazzling flurry of invitations. In Cora's past life when she transformed into a flood dragon, this very spectacle appeared after her aquatic dance across the sea, though back then, only a handful of neighboring minor clans came to celebrate. Both the scale and grandeur paled in comparison to today's event, even prestigious clans like the Crab Tribe only attended because Father sent lavish gifts to bolster Cora's standing. My gaze shifted to Cora, catching the envy flashing across her face, until it swiftly morphed into a smug glance shot my way. I knew exactly what that look of hers meant. In our past life, the banquet Father held for us was meant to be her moment to shine, but when I appeared in my mermaid form, my beauty stole the show and left everyone breathless. Hawk, the most distinguished guest at the feast, even publicly proposed to me on the spot. The incident became the talk of the underwater realms for ages, completely stealing her thunder. This time, she was the mermaid with peerless beauty. That expression surely betrayed her hope for a reversal of past events. Though a flood dragon and a true dragon differ by but a single step, the gap is as vast as heaven and earth. The banquet may not unfold as she desires. With so many congratulatory messages pouring in, Father was too delighted to scold me further. Cheerfully directing the clan to prepare the feast, I journeyed to the Western Sea and procured a discipline whip. This scourge, crafted from dragon bone and serpent hide, was designed specifically for penal torture. A single lash would split flesh, shatter resolve, and send agony searing through the very marrow. In my past life within the dungeon, the slightest movement would prompt Hawk to channel his magic into delivering another whip strike. When I was caught after trying to escape, he whipped me relentlessly until I nearly lost consciousness. Even now, the memory of that excruciating pain still sends shivers down my spine. How could I not let him taste this very suffering in this lifetime? Channeling my magic into the bone whip, I swung it through the air with a crack. Ripples surged through the water, shattering coral pillars several zhang away. With satisfaction, I slipped the whip back into my sleeve. I wonder how many strikes from this disciplinary whip that crab shell can withstand. 3 days later, the banquet commenced with guests from all clans gathered under one roof. Cora made a stunning entrance in her finest attire, drawing gasps of admiration from the crowd. Watching her bask in the spotlight like a queen holding court, I couldn't help but smile. Sweet sister, may you continue to relish these benefits the mermaid's pearl brings. A tall, scholarly young gentleman suddenly rose from the banquet tables, turning every head in the room. At the sight of that familiar face, I tightened my grip on the disciplinary whip hidden in my sleeve. Hawk, in my past life, he'd risen just like this, proclaiming his love and proposing marriage before the crowd, bringing me nothing but misfortune thereafter. Cora's eyes shimmered faintly, liquid light swirling in their depths, her gaze at Hawk brimmed with unspoken affection, eyes shimmering with words left unsaid. The scene sent ripples through the crowd. Exchanged glances and speculative eyes darting between the pair. Father's expression softened as he studied Hawk approvingly, a quiet satisfaction settling in his eyes. Raising his cup in acknowledgement, he sipped the congratulatory wine while awaiting the next move. I've long heard of the second princess's extraordinary grace and peerless beauty. Seeing you today, you truly live up to your reputation as a vision of celestial loveliness that could topple cities. Hawk's eloquently crafted flattery clearly struck the right chord with both father and mother. Both wore expressions of utter contentment, visibly radiating pleasure from head to toe. Cora blushed faintly, adopting a demure posture, while Axel beside her wore a rather sour expression. The crowd caught a whiff of drama in the air, setting down their chopsticks to watch the main players intently, but Hawk abruptly shifted gears with his next remark. I wonder when Her Highness will grace us with her presence. We're all eager to behold the Dragon Princess's majestic bearing. At these words, the color drained from Cora's face, her blush vanishing as she turned deathly pale. The banquet hall soon erupted with barely restrained murmurs of agreement. Indeed, we're all here for the Dragon Maiden. Uncle Bai, quit keeping us in suspense and bring her out already. Such remarks came one after another, accompanied by several veiled, mocking glances directed at Cora. Cora's cheeks burned with humiliation, her body swayed slightly, and she gripped the table's edge to avoid collapsing in disgrace. Father's expression froze momentarily before darkening into a frown. He hissed to the maid beside him, "Fetch that ill-mannered wretch at once. How dare she keep everyone waiting at such an important occasion?" Seeing this unfold, I stepped forth from the shadows before the maid could summon me, offering a perfectly measured bow. "My apologies for the delay. Urgent matters detained me." Seeing me dressed plainly without any adornments, father frowned again, just as he was about to reprimand me. Hawk cut in first. "Your Highness, the Dragon Princess truly cuts a heroic figure with extraordinary grace. Our clan has prepared modest gifts to celebrate your successful draconic ascension. We hope you'll accept them." I merely gave a noncommittal hum, sweeping him with an impassive glance that revealed neither joy nor sorrow. Hawk took the lead, and the others rushed to offer their congratulations, each fearing to be outdone by the rest. Such grandeur was unheard of in my past life. The only similarity to my previous life was how I instantly became the center of attention the moment I appeared. Once again, Cora was left in the cold by the guests. My gaze shifted to Cora, and in that locked stare, I saw the venom and humiliation burning in her eyes. But in this life, I no longer cower in fear. As the banquet concluded, Cora rose and left without a moment's hesitation, certain she wouldn't let this slide. I moved to follow, only for my father to block my path. "Stop right there." Father's face darkened. "How dare you keep all our distinguished guests waiting at such an important banquet, and dressed like this, utterly disgraceful." I couldn't be bothered to explain. Just like in my past life, Cora had deliberately given me the wrong time for the banquet. As Hawk vanished from sight, I immediately channeled my magic to track him down. At last, I found them, their hands already clasped together. Hawk gazed tenderly. "Your radiance outshines all, second princess." "My heart was yours at first sight." Cora blushed coyly, chiding him. "If your heart belongs to me, why did you request to see my sister at the banquet?" A father's command cannot be refused. "But in my heart, there's only you," Hawk murmured earnestly. "Tell me, Cora, do you hold any affection for me?" Hawk stands peerless like jade among reeds, his fame spanning the realms. Countless maidens secretly pledged their hearts to him. Hearing this, Hawk stepped closer, his gaze locked intently on Cora. "But all I desire is the heart of one person." Seeing Cora's blushing cheeks, Hawk pressed his advantage. "Would you come with me to the Crab clan's territory? Cora, will you be my wife?" Cora's fingers trembled, caught between joy and fluster. "Hawk, your devotion moves me deeply, and I'd never wish to disappoint you, but marriage is..." Watching Cora's maidenly shyness and Hawk's determined, triumphant gaze, I couldn't help but chuckle. Hawk is indeed the renowned noble prince of the four seas. Few female spirits could resist such ardent courtship, but compared to the Dragon Prince, it's hardly worth mentioning. In her past life, Korra witnessed the Dragon Prince's undying devotion, and, no one but you, vows firsthand. Now her heartstrings are utterly tangled with that dragon heir. How could she spare even a shred of affection for Hawk? She's just basking in the attention of wealthy suitors and the envy of onlookers. These two schemers are putting on a sickeningly sweet act, making everyone eager to see how spectacularly they'll turn on each other. Having had my fill of the drama, I turned to leave, only to spot Axel glowering at Hawk from behind a coral thicket, his eyes burning with jealousy like a rabid animal. I couldn't help but grin. This show was getting juicier by the minute. Suddenly, a blinding golden streak flashed across the sky, unfurling into massive floating characters. My whole body trembled. This was the Dragonkin's signature messaging magic, the message. An invitation to feast at the Dragon Palace. This invitation never existed in my past life, and predictably, Korra was already angling to hitch a ride to the Dragon Palace with me. My expression darkened. This never happened in my past life. I didn't encounter Dragon Prince Silas until months later. This time, our meeting seems destined to come sooner. Who knows what chaos this might bring? My current strength leaves few rivals across the 4 seas, and most realms bend to my will. Yet Silas and his Dragon Palace remain the sole exceptions. Memories of my past life with Silas still send dull throbs through my heart, but what burns fiercer is an all-consuming hatred. When we first met, I had just escaped the dungeon and was fleeing in disarray from Hawk's pursuit. At death's door, Silas descended like a god, wounded my pursuers, and shielded me with his own body. Later, he tended my wounds, stood up for me, and cared for me with unwavering devotion. He even offered to make me his consort, bestowing upon me honor and status. I finally succumbed, drowning in the honeyed trap he'd woven, until the day the net closed in. He confessed to me that everything before had been an act. He deliberately loosened the dungeon guards first to let me escape, then tipped off Hawk to lure him into pursuit. He orchestrated a damsel-in-distress charade just to steal my heart. For merfolk's tears turn to pearls, yet only tears shed for true love become the legendary mermaid pearls. Merfolk are rare, most living in shadows, and their pearls rarer still. Yet Silas sought to take my pearl, then force my kin to swallow them for transformation. Thus the cycle continues, breeding and domesticating merfolk for generations. Silas deceived my trust, wounded me to the core, and now schemes against my kin and offspring. The utter villainy. Only by flaying him alive and scattering his ashes shall this burning hatred be quenched. Yet alas, facing him now, I hold no certain victory. Revenge is a dish best served cold. What baffles me is why Silas would go to such lengths to keep merfolk captive, given that dragons live eternally and never age. In my past life, I had planned to investigate discreetly, hoping to find Silas's weakness, but before I could uncover anything, Korra ran me through with her blade, suppressing the turmoil in my heart. I made my way to the Dragon Palace for the banquet. With the dragon lineage dwindling, the aged Dragon King was overjoyed at my arrival. Not only did he adopt me as his foster daughter, but also bestowed upon me a golden chainmail, woven from dragon scales. This priceless armor repels blades and withstands flames. What a coincidence. This treasure fell into my hands in my past life too, though it was originally the Dragon King's gift to his daughter-in-law. Back then, Korra coveted this treasure relentlessly, pestering me for it time and again. When I refused, she tattled to our mother, and in the end, I couldn't keep it from being snatched away by her. This time around, no doubt Korra already considers that soft armor her rightful property. I turned my gaze and sure enough, Korra's eyes were glued to the golden glowing soft armor in my hands. Without hesitation, I donned the armor and thanked the Dragon King under Korra's envious glare. Father, what occasion calls for today's banquet? At the sound of that familiar voice behind me, my body instinctively tensed. Korra beside me instantly spun around, gazing eagerly at the approaching figure. I turned slowly to face that once enchanting, now loathsome silhouette I'd gladly run through with a blade. Silas's eyes immediately locked onto the dragon horns atop my head, his expression registering surprise. Where did this dragon maiden come from? I've never seen her before. The Dragon King seated at the head of the table introduced with a smile. This is the dragon maiden of my eastern sea, originally a clam spirit who transformed by swallowing a dragon pearl. I've now adopted her as my foster daughter, so we shall be family henceforth. I see, Silas murmured in sudden understanding, his gaze toward me growing noticeably warmer. With our sworn sister joining us, the strength of our East Sea Dragon clan grows even greater. What joyous news indeed. Before I could respond, Cora beside me couldn't contain herself. Executing a curtsy brimming with coquettish charm, Cora pays her respects to the dragon prince, yet contrary to her expectations of love at first sight, Silas merely gave her a passing glance. Who might you be? Cora froze momentarily, flustered. I'm the second princess of the Clam clan. Here with my elder sister by invitation today. You don't resemble a clam spirit, Silas. Studied Cora again. Did you, like my sworn sister, encounter some extraordinary fortune? Indeed, I obtained a mermaid's pearl and transformed into this form. Mermaid. Silas studied Cora from head to toe once more, his eyes darkening with unspoken thoughts. Since you're my sworn sister's blood sister, that makes us family too. We should visit more often. At these words, Cora's face lit up, her voice taking on an even more melodious and affectionate tone. Then I'll be counting on your kindness. Silas, with that, she shot me what she thought was a subtle challenging look. I couldn't be bothered to engage with her. After several rounds of drinks, the Dragon King suddenly spoke up. The Sea Void Realm will open in 3 days. You two should go train there together. The Sea Void Realm lies within the Eastern Sea, a treacherous domain brimming with both fortune and peril, where all clans send their young for trials. In my past life, I heard Silas obtained a divine sword from this realm, his power surging overnight, born a dragon with cultivation surpassing mine. Should Silas wield that blade again, he'd become nigh unstoppable. This time, I must seize the sword first, tip the scales, and we might just stand a chance. 3 days later, at the entrance to the mystic realm, I stood alone on one side, while Cora was surrounded by her entourage of admirers at the other. The mystic realm is dangerous, sister. You should be careful going alone. Noticing Cora's malicious smirk, I frowned slightly. The mystic realm teems with dangers. While I'm not afraid of Cora, if she pulls some sneaky tricks when I'm off guard, it could jeopardize our mission. A sapphire vortex unfolded into a luminous portal before me. Stepping through, I was instantly transported from the abyssal ocean depths to a verdant mountain range. Channeling my energy, I soared deeper into the realm to shake off Cora's group. Yet she clung to me like stubborn glue, refusing to be left behind. One moment she'd deliberately rouse roadside man-eating flora, the next she'd lure treasure-guarding beasts from caverns straight to me. Even with my formidable strength, the relentless battles have left me somewhat exhausted. Seizing the moment, Cora feigned unsteadiness, only to shove me straight into the trap. As I fell, I swiftly grabbed Cora's wrist, dragging her down with me. Finally got Cora to make her move personally. All this cat and mouse was worth it. At this point, the plan to use Cora to keep Silas in check was effectively accomplished. Once I break free, that legendary sword will be mine for the taking. I let the unyielding boulders pin my body firmly in place. The mountain behind us convulsed violently, sending trees and boulders tumbling as the earth split open around us. As the dust settled, the remaining survivors gasped in shock. The mountain had transformed into a colossal giant, its massive fists clutching both me and Cora. The stone behemoth opened its maw and boomed in human speech. Who dares disturb my slumber? I blurted out hastily. I was pushed and fell into this formation by accident. No offense intended. The Titan's head slowly pivoted toward me, its hollow eye sockets flaring with eerie emerald light. In that case, it really wasn't your fault. The stone fist gripping me suddenly released, and I quickly channeled magic to steady myself just as the rock monster turned its head toward Cora. Then it was you who disturbed my sleep. No, not me. Cora panicked and instinctively threw me under the bus. It was her. She pushed me. Twin crimson beams erupted from the stone monster's hollow eyes as it thundered. Lies! You dare disturb my slumber and deceive me. This transgression shall not be forgiven. The enraged creature's roar shook the earth once more. When the tremor subsided, half the remaining survivors had vanished. Cora stood petrified, her face drained of all color. Had Silas not leapt forward to plead with the stone monster, I'd have been a goner. Seeing this, I murmured incantations, sending a psychic message to the stone creature. The stone monster's eyes flashed green. The Dragon King of the East Sea's favor must be honored. Death may be spared, but punishment is inevitable. Unless what? Cora's face lit up with hope as she pressed urgently. Unless someone truly loves you and can withstand my questioning, I'll let you both go. Otherwise, that person shall bear your punishment and enter the labyrinth of stones. If no one can save you, I'll cast you into the maze. whether you live or die will be your own fate. Hearing these terms, Cora's fear completely vanished. Her eyes brimming with defiant confidence, she gazed tenderly at Silas with a coquettish tone. Silas, Cora needs your help. Cora's expression brimmed with hopeful certainty. To her, this condition was practically handing out free chances to confess. An absolute no-brainer. Silas' expression darkened further when Cora called his name. Cora, must I really prove my devotion to you like this? Cora froze, about to explain this wasn't a test but a public display of affection, but seeing Silas' obvious displeasure, she worried she might have angered him. I didn't mean it that way, he said with a hint of grievance, then his gaze locked onto Hawk. If I can't get full marks, 80 will do. Hawk, Cora called out in a voice dripping with melodrama. Hawk's face had darkened the moment he heard the stone monster's terms, but relief washed over him when Cora named Silas instead. A sense of foreboding crept into Hawk's heart at Silas' words. And now Cora's summons made his expression shift through shades of dismay. In the end, Hawk forced a strained smile and passed the buck. Nothing would please me more than to rescue Cora, but seeing Brother Bai's eagerness, it'd be improper to compete for the honor. Upon hearing this, Axel shot Hawk a venomous glare. You were always fighting for everything before. Now suddenly you're playing nice. Rejected again. Cora couldn't help but speak up once more. Don't worry, Axel's always been magnanimous. He won't mind such trivial matters. Axel nodded eagerly like a pecking chick. But the fact that little Cora didn't think of me first, it really stings. Until I sort this out, I can't be certain about my own feelings. Hawk fanned himself with a folding fan. Sighing heavily, Axel glared at Hawk with burning eyes. You stole my damn lines. What am I supposed to say now? Hawk shot back an innocent look, like it was somehow his fault. Cora paled slightly before turning hopeful eyes toward Axel. I couldn't help but sneer. Axel, we've grown up together since childhood. Your feelings for me must be utterly pure. Even a freebie question shouldn't be failed. Axel turned even paler, his face clouded with hesitation. My devotion to Cora is as clear as daylight, but I've always seen you as a younger sister. I'm afraid this doesn't meet the criteria. Rejected 3 times, Cora grew visibly flustered. She turned to her other suitors. Well, will none of you rescue me? At this point, she'd take any escape route, no matter the cost. The crowd exchanged uneasy glances until one bold soul stepped forward. I'll do it. The stone monster's head creaked as it turned. If she became hideously deformed, would you still love her truly? The warrior's face turned deathly pale, yet he clenched his teeth and stood firm. Oh, of course I would. Liar. Red light shot from the stone monster's eyes, and in the next instant, the warrior was hurled into the labyrinth of stones. The stone monster then turned to Cora. Seems no one's coming to your rescue. With that, the creature prepared to hurl Cora into the stone formation. Cora scanned the crowd before declaring desperately, I'll marry whoever saves me. Though addressing everyone, Cora's gaze kept darting towards Silas. In my past life, Silas was genuinely going to make me his consort. Cora clearly assumed he wouldn't let anyone else get ahead of him, hence her bold declaration, but all that answered her was suffocating silence. Not only did Silas remain unmoved, but neither Hawk, Axel nor any of my other suitors stepped forward. I couldn't suppress my laughter. This drama was simply priceless. Cora's face burned crimson with humiliation as the stone monster mercilessly hurled her into the formation. Just as the portal sealed shut, both Silas and Hawk unexpectedly leaped in after her. Seeing this, Axel followed suit at the very last moment. A faint smile crept across my face at the sight. The labyrinth of enchanted stones was fraught with peril and illusions. Even Silas couldn't extricate himself easily in such short time. I had ample time to seize the sword that rightfully belonged to him in our past life. Undisturbed, I swiftly overcame the obstacles and claimed the heaven's saber as my own. As the mystic realm closed, I immediately spotted Cora, disheveled and battered, nestled blissfully against Silas' side. My gaze swept across the room again, and to my surprise, I spotted Hawk and Axel standing together not far away. Axel shot Hawk a mocking glance. No matter how hard some people try, it's all in vain. They'll just have to watch others win the prize. For once, Hawk didn't argue back, his gaze inscrutable yet loaded with meaning. You won't even approach the stone golem. Clearly your feelings for that woman aren't genuine. Let me guess, you're after the leadership of the Clam Spirit clan. Given how things stand, winning the second princess's affection won't get you what you want. Why not work with me instead? Help me succeed. And with the crab clan's support, taking over that insignificant clam tribe will be child's play. After locking eyes for several breaths, Axel finally spoke slowly. What do you need me to do? They switched to telepathic communication, so I couldn't catch the details, but I could roughly guess their scheme. Unexpectedly, Silas's early appearance in this life also made Hawk realize he couldn't keep Cora through emotional bonds, so just like in the previous life, he chose to win Axel over. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Silas part ways with Cora and leave alone, concealing my presence. I quietly followed. I trailed Silas as we left the East Sea, climbed ashore, and to my astonishment, ended up in a human town. A question nagged at me. Our oceanic clans had dwelled in the deep for generations, maintaining an unspoken truce with humankind since childhood. Our elders had warned us to steer clear of humans and never set foot on land. What on earth is Silas up to this time? As I pondered, I saw Silas perform a sleight of hand, transforming his luxurious garments into plain coarse cloth. Even his dragon horns vanished, making him appear completely ordinary. My eyes widened in astonishment. What could he possibly be planning? Seeing the figure about to disappear around the corner, I didn't have time to think and hurried after them. After winding through countless alleys, just as I marveled at Silas's familiarity with these hidden pathways, he finally stopped before a low house and knocked. As he entered, I scrambled up an ancient tree, only to nearly fall from the branches in shock at the scene below. There was Silas in the courtyard, wrapped in a tender embrace with a plainly dressed woman, their eyes speaking volumes. That woman was unmistakably human. Seeing the tenderness in Silas's eyes, I felt thunderstruck, as if caught in a raging storm. Humans and demons are worlds apart. How could they ever be together? My mind reeled in shock, and it took me quite a while to recover. No wonder Silas went to such lengths to keep mermaids captive in his past life, all for the sake of his one true love. No doubt. How fleeting a human lifespan is. To keep me by your side, how many of my descendants must you slaughter? Silas schemed against my devotion, plotted against my bloodline, all for this unspeakable depravity. Such deeds make you unworthy to rule the eastern seas. I nearly shattered my teeth clenching them, barely restraining this murderous fury darkening my vision. The heaven sword seemed to resonate with my emotions, humming restlessly within my sleeve as if eager to leap out and fight on my behalf. I diverted a sliver of my focus to calm it, gradually regaining my composure. Though I could put up a fight against Silas now, victory was far from certain. Moreover, as the Dragon Prince, even if I managed to slay Silas here, I'd never escape the combined wrath of the Dragon King, Queen, and their aquatic armies. It's not worth sacrificing yourself for such scum of the sea. Watching the tender, inseparable bond between the human and dragon in the courtyard stirred something within me. Reporting this to the Dragon King would ensure Silas' punishment while earning me his trust. If their quarrel escalates further, the rift between father and son could create an opportunity. My gaze fell upon the fishing nets drying in the courtyard, alongside an assortment of seashells, turtles, crabs, and fish. My eyes darkened with realization. She was but a fisherman's daughter. Now that I've ascended as a dragon princess, stirring the people's wrath might just secure my throne. With this thought, I turned and returned to the eastern sea to report to the Dragon King. The Dragon King gasped in shock and followed me ashore. When he saw the entwined lovers in the courtyard, his fury erupted like a volcano. Wretched vermin, how dare you? The Dragon King's wrath summoned rolling thunder. Clear skies darkened with churning storm clouds, stirring a fiery ambition in my heart. With such power at my command, what fear would I have of a mere Silas? At the sudden sound of the Dragon King's voice, Silas turned pale and instinctively shielded the fisher girl behind him. Father, what brings you here? Should I have waited until you caused a catastrophe? The Dragon King snorted coldly, a gust of wind erupting from his nostrils. Come back with me now. Silas knew in his heart that this parting might mean never seeing his beloved again. He hadn't yet managed to obtain both the mermaid and her pearl. A mortal's lifespan of mere decades passes in the blink of an eye for dragonkind. Once the Dragon King imprisons him for a while, it'll be too late for anything. Father, our love is true. I beg for your blessing. You wretched fool. The old Dragon King lamented his son's wasted potential. Silas seethed with resentment, but stood no chance against the Dragon King. After a fierce struggle, he was still dragged back by the Dragon King. The fisher girl had already turned deathly pale with terror. I materialized before her, hovering in the air as I demanded answers in an icy tone. Do you not know that humans and demons walk different paths? This unholy union cannot be. The fisherwoman knelt on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly. Spare me, goddess, I truly believed my husband was human. Never could I have imagined he was such a monster. Seeing the sheer terror on the fisherwoman's face when she beheld the dragon horns upon Silas' head, I found myself believing her story. If that's the case, would you be willing to forget all this and start anew elsewhere? The fisherwoman kowtowed repeatedly in joy. Many thanks for your divine mercy, goddess. I used magic to erase this memory from her, leaving her only with the belief that her husband perished at sea. Later, I guided her to leave this place of sorrow behind, never to fish again in this lifetime. I returned to the undersea palace and reported everything to the Dragon King, who was thoroughly pleased with my work and rewarded me with treasures as recognition. The moment I left the palace, I spread word across the seas about Silas' scandal with a fisherwoman, how it enraged the Dragon King and got him imprisoned in the abyssal dungeon. Upon returning home, I learned Cora had been missing for days. Axel was reassuring my parents just like in the past life. Seems Hawk has made his move. I dashed toward the dungeon. Cora was indeed chained to the gallows, her body crisscrossed with wounds, tortured beyond recognition as she kept begging Hawk for mercy. Dragon meat greatly enhances cultivation, extends lifespan, and beautifies one's appearance. Far more valuable than mermaid flesh. Spare me, and I'll bring your sister to you. Deal. My eyes turned icy, the killing intent intensifying. Everyone knows dragon meat enhances cultivation, yet none dare covet it. Whether my dear sister is recklessly bold or simply foolish, such words should never have left her lips, but Hawk was no fool. His mind remained razor-sharp. You've got some nerve saying that. Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? But I suggest you save your breath. I'm never letting you go, Hawk. You'll die a horrible death. When pleading proved futile, Cora shed her pitiful facade and revealed her true vicious nature. The disciplinary whip lashed across Cora's face, splitting flesh and drawing blood. The splattered blood droplets converged into the vial under the array's influence. Not a single drop wasted. Hawk burst into hearty laughter. After so many punishments, still haven't learned your lesson? Cora writhed in agony, yet a glimmer of hope still shone in her eyes. Brother Silas will surely come to save me. You'll pay dearly for this when the time comes. Brother Silas will make me his princess. Every last one of you who hurt me shall die. Hawk burst into laughter at Cora's naive remark. Haven't you heard? Silas fell for some fisher girl and got himself locked in the abyssal dungeon by the Dragon King. Stop daydreaming. All right, you've been rotting in the dungeon. No wonder you're out of the loop. But I'm telling you now, your dear brother Silas can't even save himself, let alone rescue you. Impossible. You're lying. Cora glared daggers at Hawk. How could brother Silas possibly love some fisher girl? It's obvious he's in love with me. I'll be the future crown princess. Don't you dare lie to me. Seeing Cora's fanatical stubbornness, Hawk became intrigued. Each word pierced Cora's heart like a razor-sharp blade. You know the truth yourself. I've no reason to lie, nor could I fabricate such an elaborate tale. Wasn't it obvious during the stone demon encounter in the abyssal Vale whether Silas truly cared for you? I couldn't fathom why Silas, the dragon prince himself, would feign affection for you without genuine feelings. Now I understand. He likely shares my motive, the mermaid's flesh and blood. I must expand my power, while he chooses to spend his life with that fisherwoman he loves. Impossible. You're lying to me. Cora's eyes bulged wildly, her face twisted into a terrifying, frenzied mask. Brother Silas would never treat me this way. I'm destined to be the crown princess. He'd never treat me this way. Someone like brother Silas would never stoop to consort with vile humans, let alone some vulgar fisher girl. I don't believe it. Let me out. I'll demand answers from him myself. Cora thrashed violently, making the iron chains clatter, but all that answered her were the searing lashes that cut to the bone. Having seen enough of the spectacle, I turned back to the Dragon Palace to curry favor and earn merits before the Dragon King. The aged Dragon King had delegated most East Sea affairs to Silas as his vigor waned. With Silas imprisoned now, the long-retired Dragon King clearly struggled to shoulder the burden alone, but my arrival perfectly resolved this issue. The Dragon King grew increasingly trusting of me, and praises echoed across the four seas. Peaceful days continued for some time, until Cora broke out of the dungeon. She proved quite resourceful, seducing the guards to escape back home, just like in his previous life. Hawk, seeing no more Profit to be gained, chose mutual destruction by revealing the miraculous properties of the mermaid's flesh and blood to the world. When I saw Cora again, she was in the middle of a heated argument with her parents. I barely escaped that living hell, and now you want to drain my blood and carve my flesh. Even wild beasts spare their own offspring. Cora's voice was shrill, the mother soothed gently. We're nothing like those thieves, just taking a tiny portion. It won't harm you in the slightest, yet you'll gain precious jewels and fine silks. Why refuse such an offer? The father reasoned patiently, this is merely a temporary measure. To secure resources, when our clan tribe grows powerful, your status as princess will rise accordingly. No one would dare lay a finger on you then. My mind drifted back to those days when I'd grown terribly weak from daily flesh-cutting and bloodletting, longing for just a few days' respite. Father's face darkened as he summoned the full authority of the clan chief. The tribal physician made it clear. Daily extraction won't compromise your vitality. We've raised you with every privilege befitting a princess of this house. Now it's time to repay your debt. How dare you feign illness to shirk your duty? Mother's expression turned icy as she asserted her matriarchal authority. Every fiber of your being comes from us. After all my sacrifices to raise you, is this how you repay me? Refusing mere drops of blood, yet with Cora, they'd sweet-talk their way through, reducing daily blood draws to every third day. Yet Cora remained utterly unwilling, acting as if grievously wronged, strutting before the clan with insufferable arrogance. She boasted how the clan's rising status and the endless stream of gift-bearing sycophants were all thanks to her benevolence, but clearly, these very circumstances had emerged under my stewardship of the East Sea affairs long before her return. Still, our parents indulged her whims, peddling this narrative to the clan, crediting her with my achievements. Fine. Let them make trouble for a few more days. Once my grand plan comes to fruition, I'll settle the score with them. A bloodied hand suddenly reached out from ahead. Axel crawled out of Cora's room covered in blood, only to trigger the wards at the door and get an earful from the arriving Cora. You heartless bastard, after all I've done for you, look what you've reduced me to. Cora kept beating Axel until his last breath, then spat in disgust. Pathetic worm, dying was too good for you. After cursing, Cora turned to me with even more venom in her eyes than before. What, come to laugh at me? The weight in my chest lightened somewhat with Axel's death, so I couldn't be bothered to argue with her any longer. Would you like to see Silas one more time? Truly, a radiant light flashed in Cora's eyes, seeing her fall right into the trap as expected. I kept my composure. Naturally, then take me there at once. I led Cora to the shadow dungeon. I patiently explained the terrain mechanisms to her as requested, then dismissed all the guards. All of you, withdraw. My sister wishes to speak with the crown prince privately. Sister, you should leave too. It's inappropriate for you to stay while I converse with His Highness. Watching Cora revert to her smug habit of claiming what's mine, I smirked inwardly but maintained composure before obediently withdrawing. You two catch up. I'll be back later. Stepping out of the dungeon, I adjusted the disciplinary whip hidden in my sleeve. I still haven't settled the score with Hawk. When Hawk saw me approach, his eyes darkened with malice. Back in the Void Sea realm, I saw how strained your sisterly bond was. Never thought you'd stand up for her. I remained silent, simply raising my disciplinary whip to strike Hawk with full force. This wasn't about defending Cora. This was vengeance for my past life. Channeling my spiritual energy through the whip, I severed both of Hawk's legs in a single strike. This lash repays the agony of my broken legs from every failed escape. I swung again, the whip splitting Hawk's smug face wide open. This strike settles the score for every beating. My defiance earned me. Raising my arm, I brought the whip down hard across Hawk's spine. This lash repays every ounce of torture I endured when Hawk whimsically chose this method to draw blood. I lashed Hawk again and again without mercy, no matter how he begged, howled, or cursed in rage. Just as he'd shown me no mercy in our past life, I remained unmoved. The whipping continued relentlessly until his true form was revealed. How does the disciplinary lash feel? Hawk was in too much pain to utter a single word in response. Only when the eight-legged crab with massive pincers was reduced to pulp did I finally relent. Exhaling deeply, my status now carries weight, and with Hawk having slaughtered my kin first, both might and justice stand on my side. Not even Hawk's birth father, the Crab Clan chieftain, could do anything about me. No sooner had this matter concluded than news arrived. Cora had broken out of prison with Silas. The Dragon King's wrath sent tremors through the four seas. With visible remorse, I stepped forward to plead guilty. Father, this is all my fault. I trusted our cousin too much, allowing my sworn brother to seize the chance and escape. Cough cough. How could this possibly be your fault? That rebellious son of mine remains utterly obstinate, after all this time in confinement, not a shred of remorse. This infuriates me beyond measure. Calm your anger, father. I shall go retrieve my sworn brother at once. With a wave of his hand, the Dragon King entrusted the entire matter to me. When I arrived at the fishing village, I found Silas interrogating villagers in his frantic search for the fisher girl. The chaos stirred such panic that it drew Taoist priests to hunt the supposed demon, but Silas was no ordinary spirit. The priests clearly hadn't anticipated dealing with an actual dragon and were ill-prepared. Seeing Silas swipe at the Taoist priest's heart with his claws, I instantly drew my sword to parry the strike and engaged him in fierce combat. The priest summoned reinforcements, and together we severely wounded and captured Silas. The heaven saber moved as an extension of my will. Most of Silas' wounds bore its mark, each cut deep enough to reveal bone, yet this was but a fraction of the suffering I endured in my past life. Yet I knew well that success demands patience, so I refrained from striking at Silas again. After explaining the situation to the Taoist priest, I declared my intent to take Silas back to the Dragon Palace for judgment. His words carried subtle hints of the Dragon King's doting indulgence and the helplessness in disciplining his son. There was also an undertone of worry about what greater chaos might unfold if this continued unchecked. Just as expected, the old Taoist priest was wringing his hands in anguish, vowing to lodge a complaint with the heavenly court. Upon returning to the East Sea, the Dragon King received the celestial edict condemning his crimes. While I recounted the entire incident in detail, when I saw Silas again, he remained utterly unrepentant. While Cora wept bitterly about how he'd deceived her, all to obtain mermaid flesh and live forever with that fisherwoman. Overwhelmed by fury, I coughed up a mouthful of congealed blood. Silas was condemned to the deepest dungeon, stripped of his crown prince title, with all visitation rights revoked. After these events, the aging Dragon King's health deteriorated rapidly, and he came to rely on me more than ever. In the clam spirit's domain, years of flesh-cutting and blood-draining finally pushed Cora past her breaking point. But how could my father, now accustomed to lavish excess, and my mother, watching her youth miraculously return, ever bring themselves to stop? At last, the Dragon King proclaimed across the seas, passing his throne to me. The four seas came to pay homage, with countless demons offering congratulations. Such grandeur far surpassed even my imperial consort coronation in the previous life. Cora finally snapped, screaming hysterically within the chamber. Why must I still suffer so miserably in this new life, while she shines so brilliantly? It's you, this is all your fault. Why did you have to bring her into this world after me? Cora lost her mind. She poisoned her parents, sealed their magic, and frenziedly plunged that dagger from their past lives into both their hearts. The father stared in disbelief as the silver dagger plunged into his chest, withdrawing crimson with his lifeblood. Until his dying breath, he couldn't fathom that his beloved youngest daughter would drive a blade through his heart. The mother recoiled in horror, shrieking as she scrambled toward the door, only for Cora to seize her violently. Gazing at the bloodied blade hovering before her eyes, the mother wailed with soul-rending anguish. Cora, wake up. Cora, it's your mother. Have you forgotten how well we treated you? We're your parents. How could you commit such an unspeakable act? Cora remained unmoved, driving the dagger mercilessly into her mother's heart like a vengeful demon from hell. You carved my flesh and drank my blood, unfit to be called father, unworthy to be named mother. You deserve this death. Her eyes wide open in death, my mother could never comprehend why the daughter she'd doted on since childhood would seek to take her life. When I arrived after receiving the news, I found my parents with unseeing eyes, and Cora, drenched in blood, clutching a dagger as she lunged at me. With a single sweep of my arm, I sent her flying across the room, blood spewing from her mouth. Cora rose slowly from the ground, her gaze locked onto mine with unsettling intensity. You've been back for a while too, haven't you? You knew all along. You did this on purpose, she shrieked in a piercing, grating voice. You watched me choose the mermaid's tear on purpose. You wanted me to suffer. How heartless can you be? I didn't deny it, just glanced at my parents' corpses. When it comes to cruelty, I'm no match for you. You deserve to die. Cora's venomous eyes locked onto me as she raised her dagger and charged again. This time, I showed no mercy. A single palm strike ended her life, decades flashed by, and my reign as Lord of the Eastern Sea stood unshakable. I finally ordered the dungeon gates opened, dismissed my attendants, and beheld Silas impaled upon the dragon pillar. His face was haggard, his spirit broken. No trace remained of the arrogant noble he once was. He barely lifted his head when he saw me, then let it droop again like an emotionless zombie. But soon enough, he'd experience emotions at their most intense. With a faint smile, I began telling my story. It was a long tale. In my past life, I was deceived by him after swallowing the mermaid's pearl. In this lifetime, I meticulously plotted, uncovered his affair with the fisher girl, and reported it to the Dragon King. Then I erased the fisher girl's memories and sent her away. Finally, I deliberately brought Korra here to help him escape prison, then rally the others to capture him. He even hinted to the Taoist priest about reporting this to the heavenly court. This left the Dragon King utterly disappointed in him, ultimately stripping him of his throne as ruler of the Eastern Sea. Every word and sentence was recounted in meticulous detail. Fortunately, the dungeon is quiet and undisturbed. Even if the audience rattles tons of chains in excitement, no one would bat an eye. Perfect for my storytelling. It was you. You're the one who betrayed me to the king, Silas growled hoarsely, his bulging eyes fixed on me with a murderous glare. Saren, may you die a wretched death. Guards, fetch the guards at once. I demand an audience with His Majesty. Father, I was wrong. This venomous schemer manipulated us. She's the reason for our estrangement. Seeing Silas in this frenzied state, I couldn't help but smile with dark amusement, looking down contemptuously at his figure, bound tightly like a beaten dog. Scream all you want. No one's coming to help you, for it is I who now command the Eastern Seas, bending storms to my will. This throne that should have been yours shall instead pass to my bloodline for generations to come. Vile witch, may you die 1,000 deaths. Seeing Silas' murderous glare that could flay me alive, I knew my psychological warfare had struck true. His life isn't worth sparing. I drew the heaven sword, its cold gleam reflecting on Silas' face, cooling his rage-clouded mind slightly. Behold this fine blade. Without this sword that day at the fishing village, I might not have been able to defeat you. In your past life, this rightfully belonged to you, but now, it's all mine. With a blossom-like smile, I leveled the sword at Silas and pierced his heart. Story 2, I died in the extremely hot end times. I didn't die from the heat or from thirst, but at the hands of my own family. On the third day, without water or food, my elder brother tied up my hands and feet. My father cut open my wrists. After they drained all my blood, my mother, crying, cut me into pieces and made barbecued meat out of me. When I woke up again, my mother called and asked me to transfer the ownership of the house to my elder brother. She said that without a house, his girlfriend wouldn't get married. Without hesitation, I not only agreed, but also prepared plenty of water for them. Under the circumstances of the end times, people's hearts are sinister, and they should also have a good taste of it. Brianna, your elder brother's mother-in-law said that there's no way to get married without a house. What should we do about this? When my mother's crying voice came from the other end of the phone, all the nerves in my body tensed up. The fear of being on the verge of death and the dizzying feeling of spinning made me almost suffocate. Hatred filled my chest and kept crashing against it. I couldn't speak, and I could only hear my mother's continuous wailing like firecrackers. Lily is already pregnant with your elder brother's child. If they can't get married, she will have an abortion. Your elder brother is already 30 years old. Your father and I are just looking forward to having a grandson. If this child is aborted, we might as well die too. Brianna, you've always been a sensible child. Transfer the ownership of your house to your elder brother first for his marriage. After the child is born, can you ask him to return it to you? Coincidentally, you've also broken up with that poor guy Calvin. You won't be able to get married in the next 2 years. So you're not in a hurry for the house either. This is my mother, a woman who has lived her whole life only for her husband and son. In her eyes, as a daughter, I should be a stepping stone for my elder brother and give everything I have for this family. So, just after I graduated from senior high school, my mother urged me to marry that small boss on my father's construction site who was divorced and had a child. She said that it was useless for a woman to go to school, and in the end, she still had to get married, have children, and rely on a man to live. If I followed that small boss, the whole family could live a good life. I didn't agree, and she even forced me to drink alcohol at a dinner party. planning to make the matter a done deal between me and the small boss. Although her plan didn't succeed, I cut off contact with my family because of this matter. Throughout my college years, I supported myself by working part-time. It was not until I got a job and had a salary that my mother came to me again. She said that since I had grown up and was earning money, I should give my parents living expenses. My parents are both 60 years old, and I can't escape the responsibility of supporting them. I agreed to give them 1,000 yuan as living expenses every month. Even so, my mother still persistently asked me to break up with my boyfriend who was an office worker and find a rich man instead, so that they could enjoy a good life. Why are you being so humble? We gave birth to her and raised her. Her house should have been ours in the first place. My father roared at my mother beside him. Speaking of my father, although he has accomplished nothing, he always fantasizes about being an emperor and gives me orders everywhere. If I don't listen to him, he will make me obey with a stick. Back then, when I didn't agree to marry that small boss, he directly hit me with a shovel, almost breaking my spine. As for my elder brother, he has been lazy, gluttonous, and opportunistic since he was a child. He is in his 30s, but he is good at nothing and has an insatiable appetite. In my previous life, when I didn't agree, they still came to me. As a result, they encountered high-temperature weather and couldn't go out, without water and food, and in order to get my house, my parents and my dear elder brother set their sights on me. When I was held down by my elder brother, I cried and begged my father, but I only received a slap in the face to make me shut up. I watched with my own eyes as the knife in my father's hand cut into my wrist. It was so deep, and it really hurt. My mother cried. She cried as she brought a bowl to catch my blood. They not only drained all my blood, but also cut me into pieces and roasted me on the iron plate outside the window. They ate me. Hatred kept crashing against my chest. I closed my eyes tightly and then opened my mouth. Okay, you can come over tomorrow, and I'll go through the transfer procedures. 2. The temperature was still rising continuously. Even in the evening, it was still 40 degrees, however. Compared with the 60-degree high temperature I experienced in my previous life, it was still bearable. I quickly rented a light-duty truck at the fastest speed and rushed to the mall. In the following few days, the temperature continued to rise. When it reached 60 degrees, people couldn't even go out of their homes. Coupled with the power outage and water cut off, the air conditioners couldn't be used. There was a shortage of water and food, and more people died from the heat, thirst, and starvation. To survive in such extreme weather, the first thing I needed to do was to find a place to escape the heat. Coincidentally, my hometown was originally a tourist attraction for escaping the heat. There was also a cave next to the house where my parents were living now. The temperature inside the cave was always more than 10 degrees lower than that in the house all year round. When I was at school, in order to find a quiet place, I often stayed in the cave to study during the summer. I also dug a kong in it. The other end of the cave was connected to a small earthen pit outside, and there was also an outdoor latrine. The Meteorological Bureau predicted that the high temperature would last for a month. I needed to prepare supplies for this month and make preparations for cooling down and preventing heatstroke. Since I was reborn, I must survive well. I drove to the supermarket to do some shopping. Just to be on the safe side, I bought enough food for 2 months. Since there were no conditions for stir-frying and cooking in the cave, I bought all instant foods, such as instant noodles, self-heating hot pots, self-heating rice, canned 8 treasure porridge, and some of my favorite snacks like biscuits, potato chips, sunflower seeds, and pickled chicken feet. As for meat, I bought vacuum-packed marinated chicken, duck, rabbit, and other marinated foods, as well as braised beef, braised pig's trotters, pickled chicken feet. I also bought daily necessities, in addition to disposable underwear and daily consumables. I also bought 2 boxes of emergency disaster prevention candles, 3 table lamps and 3 boxes of batteries, more than a dozen power banks. Besides, I bought 10 lighters, 2 sets of cassette stoves, and 2 boxes of cassette stove liquefied gas cylinders. Although I didn't plan to cook with fire, I could still use them to cook some noodles and the like. For cooling down and preventing heatstroke, the most things I bought were cold items. I bought 300 various popsicles, 100 boxes of mineral water, and also took a pile of beverages from the beverage section. Since there was no electricity in the cave and I couldn't use the refrigerator, I specifically ordered 2,000 gene of ice bricks and 100 boxes of dry ice from a freezing company. At first, the sublimation of dry ice absorbs heat, which can not only cool down, but also be used to keep the ice bricks and cold drinks from melting. After the dry ice is consumed and the ice bricks melt, they can also cool down and keep my food and cold drinks. These should be enough to last for a month. However, just to be on the safe side, I also bought thermal insulation materials. The cave in my home was 200 square meters, and it was also connected to a small cave. I could turn the small cave into a temporary ice storage room, which could slow down the sublimation of dry ice and the melting of ice bricks and cold drinks. With this temporary ice storage room, I didn't have to worry about not being able to store fruits and vegetables. Thinking of this, I also bought some fruits and vegetables that could be eaten raw and more than a dozen boxes of beef and mutton slices. When the temperature is high, diseases will also follow. Having experienced the epidemic, I also have the habit of stockpiling medicine. After buying food and drinks, I went to the pharmacy and bought some Huaxiangzhengqi water, medicine for bruises and sprains, antipyretics, and also stocked up on some stomach medicines. Coming out of the pharmacy and passing by the sports equipment store, I originally wanted to buy some weapons for self-defense, but then I thought that the entrance of the cave was hidden. As long as my parents couldn't go back there, no one would find it, so I didn't buy any weapons. It was already dark when I finished buying the supplies. I quickly drove towards my hometown. Of course, I wouldn't go back with the supplies and meet my parents. I put the things in the abandoned adobe house in the woods behind the cave. After they left, I would come back and move the things into the cave. 3. My small truck wasn't big, and it took 2 trips to transport all these things. By the time I got back to my house again, it was almost dawn. I still couldn't afford to rest. I pulled 10 boxes of mineral water from a nearby supermarket and swaggered into the elevator with them. It was a little after 6 in the morning. People going to work and school were all awake, and many people saw me pulling the water into the elevator with a small cart. Well, it's good that they saw it. In my previous life, as someone who liked to stay at home, I actually stocked up a lot of food and water. If I saved them, I wouldn't have died of thirst or starvation. But my elder brother, when everyone was suffering, took pictures of the supplies in my house and sold them at a high price in the property management group. As a result, not only did he not make a big profit, but our food and water were also all taken away after someone broke into the house. This time, I prepared enough eye-catching water for him so that he could sell to his heart's content. After moving the water, the cameras I ordered were also delivered. I installed them in the living room and covered them with green plants. Only after I was sure that they couldn't be seen did I feel relieved. Just as I was about to rest, the door was banged loudly. My mother and the others had arrived. They really couldn't wait. I yawned wearily and got up. As soon as I opened the door, my mother rushed in like a firecracker. "It's so hot, and you didn't even come to pick us up. You just made me come here by myself. You're so heartless." As she spoke, she raised her foot and walked inside without taking off her shoes. My father even gave me orders as he walked. "Go and get me a bottle of ice-cold beer." My elder brother didn't even acknowledge me. After coming in, he looked around the room and clicked his tongue while frowning. "There are only 2 rooms. Why didn't you buy a bigger one? The decoration is so shabby. Lily will be unhappy again then." When my elder brother said this, my mother also stretched her neck and looked around. She didn't pick any faults. Instead, she directly asked me, "When will you transfer the ownership? You have to do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, when Lily's belly gets bigger, it won't look good for the wedding." She really couldn't wait. While my mother was speaking, my father also walked over. He didn't even look at me and directly ordered me, "Go and handle the transfer tomorrow. The weather is getting hotter and hotter. Finish it quickly and go back." This wasn't just asking directly, but blatantly robbing, and robbing wasn't enough. They even wanted me to offer it with both hands. My parents are indeed bloodsuckers. I clenched my fists tightly and barely suppressed the surging hatred. I still have a loan of 500,000 yuan that hasn't been paid off. I can't transfer the ownership until the loan is cleared. Then you should borrow money and pay it off. My mother became anxious as soon as she heard this. She said this so confidently, as if I was supposed to drain my own blood for them. Indeed, didn't they drain my blood in my previous life? I couldn't suppress my anger and glared at my mother. "The house is for my elder brother to get married. Why should I pay off the loan?" Perhaps shocked by my expression, my mother was stunned. But he will return it to you in the future, since it's your house, of course. You should pay off the loan, I snorted softly and asked my mother, in the future, will he really return it to me? My mother immediately averted her eyes and swallowed hard. Of course it's true, I'm your mother. If you don't believe others, can't you believe me? This was really ironic. After entering society, the people around me were actually quite nice to me. Yet it was precisely my closest parents and elder brother who made me experience the sinister nature of people's hearts. I can't borrow so much money all at once for the remaining 500,000 yuan, I said coldly. You can't even pay off 500,000 yuan. My mother stamped her foot in a hurry. I told you to find a rich man, but you had to be with that poor guy Calvin. If you had listened to me and been with that boss Bryce, you could have taken out this 500,000 yuan easily, right? Are you saying that you want me to be someone's mistress? I clenched my fists again. After reconnecting with my parents, that boss Bryce had inquired about me before, but he had already remarried, and inquiring about me was just because he wanted to keep me as his mistress. My mother still thought this was a great thing. She also said that those kept outside had a good life and that the boss was willing to spend money on them. Later, I had a falling out with them and threatened to cut off the relationship, and then they gave up. My mother stammered and turned to look at my father. My father frowned. After a long while, as if making a firm decision, he said, your mother and I still have 100,000 yuan, that's all we have. You have to figure out the rest on your own. I'll give you 3 days. However, you have to write a voluntary letter for the house transfer to avoid you denying it in the future. His tone was as if I should be grateful to him. My mother also nodded quickly. Yes, we will get this money back in the future. If it were before, when they had gone this far, I would definitely have had a falling out with them, but now it was the end times, and staying alive was the most important thing. I clenched my fists and forcibly suppressed my anger. Okay, I'll write it right away. For my elder brother inspected the house and stared at the water stacked on the balcony in surprise. Why did you buy so much water? It's in the way when it's piled at the door. My parents also came over and frowned when they saw the water I had stacked on the balcony. The weather is getting hotter and hotter. In case one day we can't go out because of the heat, water will be the most scarce thing. Maybe a box of water can be sold at an astronomical price then, I said. My elder brother was the best at taking opportunistic actions. During the previous epidemic when people were stockpiling medicine, my elder brother sold a bottle of ibuprofen for 2,800 yuan and was almost caught at that time. Sure enough, when he heard what I said, his eyes lit up and he came over to me with his phone. Hurry up and add me to your homeowners group. I smiled and added him to the homeowners group. My elder brother held his phone and tried to make himself known in the homeowners group. He didn't forget to order me, hurry up and go out to buy dozens more boxes. This is a great opportunity to make money. I frowned in disgust. My mother came over and urged me to go out to borrow money and handle the transfer, not even allowing me to have lunch. Well, it's okay, there's no food left in the refrigerator anyway. When I went out, the outdoor temperature had already reached 40 degrees. I drove my car out of the community and directly headed towards my hometown. When I arrived at my hometown, I transported the supplies in the adobe house to the cave bit by bit and covered the entrance. By the time I finished moving, it was already noon. I have to say that the cave was really cool. It was already 45 degrees outside, but the temperature inside the cave only felt like around 30 degrees after I moved the dry ice and ice bricks into the small cave next door. The temperature inside felt like only 24 degrees. I spread 2 straw mats on the earthen bed, then covered them with a mattress, and placed a cooling mat on top. Lying down on it, I felt extremely soft, cool, and comfortable. Probably because I was tired, I actually fell asleep like this until the ringing of the phone woke me up. It was my mother. As soon as I answered, her wailing came through. Brianna, when are you coming back? It's so hot. If you don't come back, we'll all be roasted to death. While answering the phone, I picked up another mobile phone and brought up the surveillance video. My elder brother saw the voluntary house transfer letter I wrote for my parents, which stated that my father lent me 100,000 yuan. He raised his eyebrows and stared angrily, scolding my mother for being stupid. My mother didn't dare to retort and just listened to her son's scolding. In the end, my father couldn't stand it anymore and shouted at my elder brother a couple of times, and then it was over. After their quarrel, it was already noon. My elder brother clamored for my mother to cook. Since there was no food left in my refrigerator, he urged my mother to go out and buy some. My father didn't say anything, which also meant that he wanted my mother to go out and buy food, in the high temperature of 45 degrees. As soon as you go out, there is a wave of heat. The rapidly enveloping heat makes people feel dizzy. My mother went out for half an hour and got heatstroke. She almost fainted at the doorstep of our house. My father and elder brother gave her some Huxiangzhengqi water and blew a fan on her for a while before she woke up. Get up and cook quickly now that you're awake. I'm starving to death. This was the first sentence she heard when she woke up. Before she could say anything, she heard my elder brother say again, "You were out for so long and only bought so little. Why is there no meat?" My mother opened her mouth, her voice dry. "It's too hot, and I don't feel well. You're like this just from buying groceries. What else can you do?" My father also threw his cigarette butt into the drinking cup. "It's just a bit hot, don't be so delicate. Hurry up and cook." Under the surveillance camera, I saw my mother's eyes suddenly turn as dull as ashes, probably feeling wronged. She struggled to get up and called me. "Five, hurry up and buy more things for me. It's really not a place for people outside." Her voice was weak and choked with sobs. She also knew that it wasn't a place for people outside, yet she still insisted that I go. In her eyes, I wasn't even considered a person. "I'm going to a friend's place now. She said she can lend me 200,000 yuan. I have to go and talk to her in person. I'll come back as soon as she transfers the money to me." While perfunctorily answering my mother, I casually opened a pack of pickled chicken feet. When my mother heard me say this, she stopped crying and told me to hurry up. She didn't forget to remind me to buy more food when I came back. By now, the outside temperature had reached 50 degrees, and the surface temperature was nearly 70 degrees. Many vehicles parked outside had broken down, and there were hardly any pedestrians on the road. The worst thing was that the water supply was cut off, although it was summer and most people had some drinks and mineral water at home. In such high-temperature weather, the consumption of water was much greater than usual. At the beginning of the temperature rise, people didn't have a strong sense of crisis. No one expected the temperature to rise by 10 degrees in a single day. By the time they realized something was wrong, it was almost impossible to move outside without water. Everyone panicked. At this time, someone in the homeowners group was asking for help. Room 701. "There's no water in my house. Which kind neighbor can spare a few bottles for us?" Room 903. "There's no water in my house either. I'm willing to buy some." As soon as these two messages were sent, many people echoed. Then, a neighbor who saw me moving water before also sent a message. Room 402. "This morning, I saw the girl in room 601 move several boxes of water up at room 601. Please spare some of your extra water for everyone. We're willing to buy it." As soon as this message was sent, many people echoed and said they were willing to buy the water for 10 yuan a bottle. I was just about to at my elder brother in the group when several photos were sent in the group. They were pictures of the neatly arranged water in my balcony. However, he was a bit sly and only took pictures of 5 or 6 of the boxes. His name was the true owner of room 601. Heh, my elder brother really couldn't wait. "The true owner of room 601. See, I have a lot of water at home. It's okay if you want to buy it, but given the weather, the price has to go up. It's 5,000 yuan a box. First come, first served." The group was quiet for a while, and then messages kept popping up. "Room 601 is taking advantage of the situation. This is really despicable." That's right. Neighbors should help each other. Even if you don't distribute the water to everyone at this time, you actually raise the price. Before, room 601 was occupied by a young girl. Is the true owner of room 601 not the original occupant? Where did you come from? The true owner of room 601. "The house is mine now. I'm the owner of the house. What are you talking about? The true owner of room 601. Do you still expect me to distribute the water to you for free at this time? You're daydreaming. If you can afford it, come and get it. Poor people, shut up and wait to die." For a moment, the group became lively. They were just relying on the fact that the social order hadn't completely collapsed yet, so they were just arguing in the group. I opened the surveillance screen and saw my elder brother sending messages and cursing at the people in the group while still muttering angrily. When my mother heard him scolding, she probably understood something and came over to Persuade him. The meteorological station said this scorching weather will last for a month. What if we sell out all the water? How will we live? My elder brother raised his head from his phone screen and rolled his eyes at my mother. Just drink less. Don't get in the way of my making a fortune. My mother's face turned ugly from being choked. She opened her mouth but couldn't say anything. She just reached into her pocket to take out her phone. Soon, the ringtone of my phone rang. I took a look and answered the call. Why haven't you come back yet? It's so hot that we can't go out. Hurry up and buy some water and food and come back. My mother got straight to the point. Her tone was completely different from the submissive way she talked to my elder brother. It's too hot outside. My car's tires will burst if I drive on the road. I really can't go out. While eating an ice cream, I perfunctorily replied. My mother didn't say anything. My father grabbed the phone and shouted at me. You've been out borrowing money for so long. Have you finished handling it? It's so hot. Hurry up and finish it for me. We still have to go back to our hometown to escape the heat. Our hometown is indeed a great place to escape the heat, but unfortunately, I've taken it over. I clicked, open a bottle of soda. The refreshing combination of the cool sweetness and the bubbly sensation was just right, making me squint my eyes involuntarily. The weather is so hot now, and it's not easy to buy water. I went to a place quite far away and finally managed to buy more than 20 boxes of water. I can only come back tomorrow, I said. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw my elder brother suddenly turn towards my mother's phone. Did you really buy water? After getting my affirmative reply, my elder brother sent another photo in the group. This time, it was all the water on the balcony. He exposed all our stock. 6. Outside, the sun was shining brightly. I was eating hot pot and drinking cold drinks. In the cave, it was extremely pleasant at the moment. The outside temperature had reached 60 degrees. Many residential areas in the city had power outages one after another. Now, not to mention going out, it was unbearable to stay at home. Messages were still constantly coming from the property management group, but they had changed from scolding to transaction completed messages under the surveillance video. My elder brother was wiping his sweat and grinning from ear to ear. Half an hour later, he sent another message in the group. The true owner of room 601. There are still 2 boxes left. Each box is 50,000 yuan. No bargaining. This time, as soon as his message was sent, the group exploded again. The people's insults were even more intense than before, especially from the owner of room 802. After a series of extremely vulgar curses, he couldn't stand it anymore. Room 802. You son of a bitch, just you wait. Your parents didn't teach you how to be a decent person, so I'll teach you. Myself, I looked at the group messages and used another phone to open the surveillance screen. My camera was powered by a charging board and still had electricity at the moment. When I opened the surveillance screen, there were already people pounding on my door. It was the same as in my previous life. My elder brother's actions had aroused public anger. It wasn't just the person from room 802 who came, but also several strong men with equally bad tempers. When my parents and elder brother heard the commotion, they immediately cowered. The 3 of them stared at each other in horror with wide eyes, and then they tried their best to move the furniture to block the door, but it was still too late. The neighbors outside smashed the door open with a sledgehammer, and several people swarmed in. My elder brother had sent several photos of where the water was stored in the group, and they quickly found it and carried it away. What are you doing? This is my stuff. Do you believe that I'll call the police? My elder brother was anxious and rushed up to grab the person holding the water. Call the police. If the police could come out at this time, the first one they'd arrest would be you. The man lifted his arm and threw my elder brother to the ground. Then, another strong man about 9 meters tall came over and directly pinned my elder brother to the ground and slapped him. 50,000 yuan a box. Right? Slap. You called us poor people, right? Slap. You want to call the police, right? Slap, 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 slap. The slaps rained down on my elder brother as if they were free. His eyes were already glazed over. My father wanted to go over and stop them, but he was kicked to the ground by another person. My father, who was usually tough and fierce at home, with just that one kick, seemed to have his soul kicked out. He sat on the ground and couldn't get up. My mother didn't dare to move even more. She sat on the ground, rocking back and forth, crying loudly like a husky whose tail had been stepped on. In a short while, those people carried away all the water in the house. Before leaving, they also searched the house. They didn't even leave the cold medicine granules behind if it could be eaten to satisfy hunger. After the people left, the three of them in my family, two of them slumped on the ground in a daze, and one couldn't move lying on the ground. They stared at the broken door for a long time. Finally, my mother seemed to remember something. She stopped crying, and in one swift motion, she got up and called me. 7. Brianna, you little wretch, have you finished handling this matter yet? We have no water and no food left. Do you want us to die here? Hurry up and bring us some food and water, or I won't let you off. My mother was really anxious. She was gnashing her teeth and scolding. If I were in front of her, I'm sure her saliva would spray on my face. While she was scolding, I happened to be cooking hot pot with a cassette stove, the beef slices, mutton slices, and various vegetables were all stored in the ice storage room and were very fresh. I listened to her scolding and unhurriedly added ingredients to the pot. When the pot started to bubble, my mother's scolding also stopped. I'm handling the house transfer. Due to the extremely hot weather here, there's a network failure. As I spoke, I changed the home surveillance to the real-time mode. My elder brother suddenly sat up from the ground and snatched my mother's phone. Don't transfer the ownership anymore, right now. Immediately, bring us water and food, but it's too hot outside. My car's tires will burst as soon as it's on the road. I really can't go out. As I spoke, I reached my chopsticks into the pot. The spicy and hot beef entered my mouth, and I couldn't help but let out a ha. I didn't hide the sound of me eating at all. What are you eating? My elder brother suddenly stopped. Hot pot, spicy hot pot, I said. Are you crazy? You're eating hot pot in such hot weather, my elder brother roared, and his tongue almost popped out. Yeah, and I also have cold drinks. I reached out and clicked open a bottle of cola. I took 2 big gulps and then burped. Brianna, my elder brother's voice was filled with gritted teeth and anger. You're having a great time eating and drinking, but you don't even bring us anything. Do you want to die? From childhood to adulthood, whether it was food, drinks, or things for use, it was always the leftovers that my elder brother didn't want that were given to me. There had never been a situation where I had something and he didn't. He was used to the idea that my things should be his, and it was only natural for him to take my things, just like my house. Now that I was enjoying delicious food and drinks while he had nothing to eat or drink, I deserved to be tortured to death. My parents also heard my conversation with my elder brother beside him. My father suddenly snatched the phone. You little beast, hurry up and bring us food and water now, or I'll break your legs. My father was still the same, always threatening at the first word. I want to bring it to you, but it's too hot outside, and I can't go out. Otherwise, you can come and get it. As I spoke, I reached out and picked up a slice of beef. It was spicy, fragrant, and really delicious. I took another sip of iced cola. Burp, so satisfying. You little brat, we're your parents. Do you want to watch us starve to death? This is extremely unfilial, and you'll be struck by lightning. My father's voice almost burst out of the phone. I stopped the movement of picking up the meat and couldn't help but look out of the cave window. Struck by lightning. In my previous life, I took good care of them with delicious food and drinks, but in the end, they drained my blood and made me into barbecued meat and ate me. Could there be anything worse than that? I'm not afraid of being struck by lightning. Thinking of this, I hung up the call and then made a video call. I let them see the water and food in my cave, and I also let them see the ice cream, fresh fruits, vegetables, and frozen food in my ice storage room. Are you in our hometown? My elder brother recognized it at once. I raised my eyebrows. Look, I have so much food and drink. I have everything I want. The indoor temperature is 25 degrees. It's extremely comfortable. You wanted my house, right? I'll give it to you. Just stay there and enjoy it comfortably. As I spoke, I tilted my head back and took a big gulp of cola. In the video, my parents and elder brother's eyes were fixed on the screen. They couldn't help but lick their lips. The stinging pain from their chapped lips made the anger in their eyes flare up. Brianna, you little slut, just you wait until I get back. I'll make sure you die a miserable death. When my elder brother opened his mouth, his throat was almost parched. My mother also gritted her teeth and said, "We are your parents. We gave birth to you and raised you. How can you treat us like this? Where is your conscience?" Conscience, I sneered. You did give birth to me. but as soon as I was born, you threw me into a well. If it wasn't for Grandma Beatrice who fished me out, I wouldn't be alive today. Later, when I grew up and was able to work, you took me back from Grandma Beatrice's home. When you raised me, I ate the same food as the dog. Even the money you gave me for school was left to me after Grandma Beatrice died. From childhood to adulthood, did you ever spend a single penny on me? Grandma Beatrice had no children. After she passed away, she left all her money to me, but at that time, I was still young. Before I could even feel the warmth of the money in my hands, my mother took it away. She said she would save it for me and return it to me later, just like what she said when she asked me for the house. Hee. What about parental blood ties? Some things are useless if they don't exist. There's really no need to force them. Stop talking nonsense. I'm telling you, if you bring it to us now, everything will be fine. Otherwise, when we get back, I'll chop you to death. My father's eyes were wide with anger, very much like the expression on his face when he slashed my wrist with a knife. I smiled indifferently. Then let's talk about it when you can actually get back. After saying that, I hung up the phone. 8. My elder brother kept calling me, but I didn't answer. Soon, a message appeared in the homeowners group. The true owner of room 601, my sister, has food, drinks, and cold beverages. She's living in the cave in our hometown. The temperature in the cave is 25 degrees. Hurry up and find her. She just had a video call with me, and I saw it with my own eyes. If he can't have it, he'll destroy it. That's always been my elder brother's way. I already knew that he would send a message in the homeowners group to take revenge on me. But so what now? The outdoor temperature is 60 degrees, and the road surface temperature is approaching 80 degrees. There are continuous tire blowouts, and even the subway has stopped operating, not to mention coming back. They can't even get out of the door. Moreover, in the high temperature where going out means being roasted to death. My house was just robbed, and my elder brother sent such a message in the group. Anyone would think that he was taking revenge and trying to trick people into going out to their deaths. After all, I just let him take a look at my stockpiled supplies and didn't even give him a chance to take a screenshot. Sure enough, after the message was sent, the replies to my elder brother were all scolding and mocking. I stopped paying attention to the group messages and instead took an ice cream and continued to watch the surveillance, probably because he didn't get the corresponding response. My elder brother was so angry that he threw his phone on the ground. After throwing the phone, his stomach growled a few times. Mom, I'm hungry. Go out and buy some food. He turned to my mother. My mother, who had been full of anger, was shocked when she heard my elder brother's words. It's so hot outside that going out means getting roasted to death. You want me to go out? The last time she went out to buy food, she got heatstroke when she came back. Now the temperature is 20 degrees higher than that time. If you don't go, do you expect me to go? My elder brother frowned. My mother was probably deeply hurt. With red eyes, she said, I already told you not to sell the water, but you didn't listen. Now, we have no water and no food left. It's all because of you. Knowing that he was in the wrong, my elder brother simply lay down on the ground and played dirty. I'm in pain all over my body now and can't even move. If you don't go, then let Dad go. As he spoke, he turned to my father, and my mother also looked at my father. You go out and buy it. He nodded towards my mother. My elder brother heaved a sigh of relief and lay flat on the ground, relaxed. My mother was immediately stunned on the spot. She opened her mouth, and after a long while, she sat on the ground and started wailing. You two heartless beasts, I've dedicated everything to this family, and now you're trying to kill me. What evil have I done to give birth to two little devils who are here to collect debts? There's not a single good person in your family. You all deserve to be struck by lightning. My mother cried and made a scene. But now my father and elder brother's eyes were already red with a look as if they were going to eat people, just like the look in their eyes when they attacked me in my previous life. 9. I was lying on the bed, eating pickled chicken feet and watching the surveillance footage. My mother was forcibly pushed out by my father. My surveillance couldn't show whether my mother had actually walked out of the unit door, but she didn't appear again until the evening. Most likely, she died outside. My elder brother and father were so thirsty that they couldn't even speak. They just took a look outside when it got dark and probably understood that my mother couldn't come back. After finishing a pack of pickled chicken feet, I yawned and was about to go to sleep when my elder brother called again. This time, I answered. Brianna, My elder brother's voice was hoarse and weak. This time, his tone was gentle. Brother was wrong. From now on, whatever you want, brother will give it to you. Don't be angry with brother, okay? Your parents and I are your family. We don't have any food or even a single bottle of water now. You can't just watch us die. Hearing him pretending to be pitiful, I couldn't help but laugh. But in my previous life, you drank my blood and ate my flesh. My elder brother's breath caught. What did you say? He didn't have the memories of the previous life, so of course he couldn't empathize with my hatred. But this overwhelming hatred in me hasn't diminished in the slightest. I said that in my previous life, in order to survive, you cut my wrist, drank my blood, and then cut me up and made me into barbecued meat. You didn't just watch me die, you ate me. For family members like you who are like evil ghosts, I can't wait for you to die quickly. After saying that, I hung up the phone. My elder brother had put the phone on speakerphone, so my father could also hear me. I've already given them this hint. Now it's up to see which one of them will make the first move. I lay back down, opened my phone, and under the surveillance, the two of them looked at each other, and their eyes gradually became bloodshot with a lust for blood. 10. After waking up from a sleep, I opened the surveillance again, and the screen was already covered in a scarlet color. It was my elder brother who died. I don't know how much blood my father had drunk. His lips and teeth were all red, coupled with his pale face and scarlet eyes. He really looked just like an evil ghost crawling out of hell. The bloody scene stimulated my nerves, and the pain of having my wrist cut open in my previous life came back again. But now, there's no longer that feeling of suffocation. I can be considered to have avenged my great hatred, but my chest still feels stuffy. 11. In the following days, I stopped watching the surveillance because the network was cut off. I stayed in the cave all day and didn't go out. When I had nothing to do, I read books. I had prepared more than a dozen power banks before, and I had downloaded dozens of TV dramas on my computer. Generally speaking, it wasn't boring. At midnight on July 3 RD, I was awakened by a loud clap of thunder, and then there was the sound of patter, patter, raindrops outside. My parents were both 60 years old, and I couldn't escape the responsibility of supporting them. I agreed to give them 1,000 yuan as living expenses every month, but even so, my mother still persistently asked me to break up with my boyfriend who was an office worker and find a rich man instead, so that they could enjoy a good life. 1. I got up and went to the entrance of the cave. The temperature was still high, but with the rain falling, it finally suppressed the sweltering heat a bit. In the distance, I heard people cheering, "We're saved." This extremely hot end times finally came to an end. Extra story. I went back to my house again after receiving a call from the police. The house was still mine, but since there was a homicide case, I had to go back and cooperate with the investigation. Of course, I actively cooperated and honestly stated the facts. My parents and elder brother snatched my house and drove me out. In the extremely high temperature, I had no choice but to go back to my hometown to escape the disaster. The police found the voluntary house transfer letter in my house and also saw the messages my elder brother sent in the group. His self-proclaimed title as the true owner of room 601 confirmed my statement. My surveillance was in real time and didn't have any archived records. All the evidence at the scene pointed to my father as the murderer, and I had nothing to do with it. In fact, when the police arrived, my father was also dead. He could eat my elder brother's meat for 10 days, but without water, he couldn't survive either. 2 days later, my mother's body, which had been dried into a piece of jerky, was also found. She didn't even make it out of the community and was roasted to death in the nearby grass. I became the only one in my family who survived. I inherited my parents' property and the house in my hometown. A month later, I sold my house and moved back to my hometown. At this moment, the temperature began to drop sharply.